Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us recognize this common bound. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
Good evening and welcome to Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you very much for tuning us on in as we prepare for Melinda Leslie to come on in to talk about the UFO news and going on with disclosure. And we're going to get into my labs as well. But first, we want to say hello to each and every one of you, including Tim Mothman and his goatee in the gold medal position, Race Fan with a silver, T-Bone with a bronze medal tonight. Kitty Cattywhack, how are you? Mel WD-40 is here lubing us up for tonight's show because you always want to go into a show nice and smooth. You don't want any rigidness. So, Mel, thank you for the lube. We greatly appreciate that. Coming in next, we have Trucker Andrew. We appreciate you, as well as Robert Lamoth and Stephanie Kenny Blankenship. JSCO, how's it going? Mama Catherine, there she is. Mwah. I love you, my dear. I hope you had a great day. I hope you have a great night listening in tonight as well. Moving on down, who do we have here? Well, let's take a look. Necessary Dialogue. Candace Helfrich is here. Candace Helfrich will be signing autographs after the show. Line up to the left of the studio, if you don't mind, to the left of the studio. Gear Jammer, how are you tonight? Nice to see you as we continue on with our roll call here. And Dispatch Center, how you doing? And there's the beautiful Melinda Leslie. I see her there in the background. Oh, you're so pretty. If you ever get a chance to get a hug from Melinda Leslie, please do it. You will be thankful that I said that because she gives just the best hugs. Cosmic Joe, how you doing this evening? I hope you're good. Happy birthday. Oh, it's at midnight. Okay, so you have to wait till midnight or tomorrow's show. One of the two, buddy. Then you're getting a happy birthday from us. Jaquetta is here. Jaquetta will be signing autographs after the show as well. Line up to the right of the studio, if you don't mind, to the right of the studio. Frankie B, how you doing, my friend? As we continue on with our roll call. Flubber Lane, thank you for joining us as we scroll on down. And we're scrolling, and we're scrolling some more. And who is next? It's Belenia, my man. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Moving on down. We have John Alien. How you doing? Welcome to SOR Chat. And who is next on our list? It's Walter Kochabinski, everybody. Much love to you, Walter. Hope you're having a great night. And let's scroll it on down a little bit more. Mark SRT Wolf. How you doing, buddy? Thank you for coming on in. And Paramarv, it's always a pleasure to have you here, my friend. Paramarv's awesome. Brent Van Owen, how you doing? Or Von Owen. I always say Van. I don't know why. It looks like an A to me because your letters are so tight there. But that's okay. Undead Jed, how are you? Road Flare, nice to see you. And who is next? It's Edwin Guerra. There he is. Scrolling on down, we have Mark Eddy. How you doing, my friend? Always a pleasure to have you here, brother. And Nathan QS, welcome to SOR Chat. Digger Dog, always a pleasure. And who is next here? Tamisha, thank you for joining us. Al Garay over on Twitch, so pumped up for Melinda Leslie tonight. Did 51 declassified deadlifts, 475 pounds each. That's great news, man. Your traps and delts must be just burning right now. Jerence Carter, Jerence Carter. How you doing? Ozzy, nice to have you here. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Sandra. East Coast turnaround, always a pleasure. Thank you for joining us. And we're going to get the radio side going. How you doing, Matthew Gutka? Hello and welcome to the radio and podcast side of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. UFOs in my labs. Melinda Leslie, one of my favorite people in the UFO world, is here with us tonight. We'll get to her momentarily. We're on roll call on our YouTube side, about 30 seconds away from launching tonight's show. Cody Eiler, how you doing? Mystery Forms from Richmond, British Columbia. Yep, I like Richmond. I always get lost in Richmond. I don't know why. Richmond is one of the only places that I just cannot find myself there. Super Chat is open. Hi, Digi-Addict. How are you? And don't forget our store is open on our website, spacedoutradio.com. Oobed Joe's Main, you've got aliens. Throw those horns up, everybody. Let's rock.
Are you ready to hear your mystic voice of the night?
It's time to wake up.
He's here. Be quiet. He's ready for you to listen. Let's point our ears towards the little cabin knows. We're together, my friends. It's time for Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott.
From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot. Read the Newswire. Check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Tonight's show is brought to you by Caribou Con. We want to see you all up here in the heart of British Columbia, September 18th through 20th. Go to cariboucon.com to get your tickets today. We have an amazing show for you tonight. One of the longtime researchers in this field, experiencer as well, Melinda Leslie, is going to join us to talk about disclosure and MyLabs. If you don't know what a MyLab is, well, you're going to find out tonight, and it is eerie and creepy. Then in hour number 3, Swamp Dweller will kick things off with another spooky story. After that, Robin Haynes is on vacation, so Christian McLeod will fill in for the Q&A entering hour 3 as well. So let's get right to it, because one of the people that I absolutely adore in this field is our guest tonight, Melinda Leslie. She is a veteran UFO researcher, investigator, and experiencer with over 35 years of involvement in this field. She has spent time researching individuals connected to the alleged UFO cover-up and is widely regarded as one of the leading authorities on military and intelligence agency involvement in alien abduction cases. As the owner of the UFO Sighting Tours in Sedona, Arizona, she has conducted over 2,000 night vision UFO tours and continues to investigate reports surrounding Sedona's alleged deep underground military bases and her own experiences with extraterrestrial and non-human intelligence encounters that have made her a respected voice among both researchers and experiencers alike. Let's bring her on in. Melinda Leslie, it is always great to have you back on Spaced Out Radio. I'm going to get you to unmute your mic, and we're going to get going right now. Thank you.
All right, we unmuted.
How are you, my dear?
Good, Dave. How are you, man? I had 2 major technical hangups that was slowing me down, but I made it, and here I am. So I thank you for having me. I'm so glad to be back. Can you hear me okay?
You sound absolutely beautiful. And I got to tell you, I always tell Lorian Fenton this, and you and Lorian are best friends. But,
yes.
And I mean it with you. Lorian and you are two of the most important people in spaced out radio history. You
Ah,
really are. And
thank
because
you.
Lorian and you have really done wonders over the last decade in helping bring credibility to this show, along with you and her also helping spread the word about helping us gain a good reputation in this field. And I love it when I get to run into you because you give the best hugs ever. You do. And so I just wanted to say thank you for being amazing towards all of us at
Thank you,
Spaced
Dave.
Out Radio.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. I love you too. I love the Spaced Out Radio audience, and I'm always thrilled to come back on. And you know, I appreciate our yours and my friendship going back for so long. So thank you. You know, I'm going to ask really quick. On my end, my camera looks really fuzzy. Is it okay on your end?
You are absolutely fine because the radio audience can't see you.
Okay, because for the YouTube audience, I could really quickly wipe
Nope,
the
you're fine.
lens on my laptop if that
No,
might help.
you are absolutely fine.
Okay,
So
because on my end it is blurry.
that's okay.
Okay,
We can see everything about you. Everything
right.
about you. So
all right.
I want to, for our audience who may not be familiar with you, over 35 years of investigating, you're an
Yeah.
experiencer. You've experienced the good, the bad, the ugly. Why do you keep doing this? Why do you keep putting yourself on the line with this incredible subject?
Oh goodness, because of how important it is. It matters. Um, you know, now it's officially mattering, if you will. You know, as we're getting disclosure, or at least in the process, let's say. But you know, it's always mattered to me. As you know, I'm an abductee and have my own personal experiences, and because of my tours and the sightings we have and the research in the underground base, this has been important to me for 35 years, and every year it grows more important, not less, and for all those reasons I just said. So yeah, it's become my life full time. I mean, I'm doing research investigation. I'm doing my tours. That's admittedly my bread and butter. It pays the bills, you know. And I'm sitting here in my office at the Center for New Age, where I also do readings. I'm a general life, you know, psychic, but I'm also a medium. I do deceased loved ones, and you know, and sitting here in this office. I have a UFO map here, and you can see some Buddha statues and probably some crystals, but not there. You know, it's become my life full time. Years and years ago, I had regular office jobs and was an office manager and homeowner association management and did all these things on the side. But when I moved here to Sedona just over 15 and a half years ago, this became, you know, the full time now, between the tours and the readings and my research. And I still research like 4 major areas. You know, Dave, I still do abduction research, mill lab research, which we're going to get into, underground base research, which I'll probably touch upon, the history of the working group, which has brought you current, you know, disclosure du jour, you know, and et cetera, et cetera. So it's still, all those things still happen. I still do those areas of research in my spare time, you know, and yeah, and it's just becoming more and more important all the time. And it's a thrilling time to be in the field. Frustrating, equal parts. I'm sure you can, I'm sure you get it. I'm sure your whole audience gets it. Equal parts thrilling, historic, you know, and frustrating all at the same time. So it's a great time to be in the field. You just have to be careful not to pull your hair out and be bald.
I have a special hello to say to you because last night we had Dr. Todd Curtis on from airsafe.com. And when he saw that you were on the show tonight, he's actually in our chat room on YouTube right now. And he said to make sure that I sent you a special hello and how much he appreciated meeting and conversing with you at Contact in the Desert
Oh,
last year.
wonderful. 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 Well, thank you. Thank you, Todd. Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
He's a great guy.
Yeah.
Absolute great guy.
Yeah.
I can see him and I being friends for a long time. I really can. So
Wonderful.
brilliant.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
let's
Well,
get to you. For people who may not know your story here, Melinda Leslie, you are somebody who has experienced every gamut that this field has to offer, whether it's ET contact, whether it's government contact, whether it's military abductions known as MyLabs. I mean, for a lot of people, they're just wanting to see a UFO. Yet here you are, where you have had all of these amazing and at times very scary encounters. How do you deal with that? Like, explain how your life has been through this field.
oh goodness. I don't know where to start. You know, so many of you've already heard the story, and I don't want to take up much time saying it now, but you know, everything in my life changed with my intro into this field, kicking off in a big way with a trip to Area 51 in Nevada, Highway 375, the extraterrestrial highway, Rachel, Nevada, going to Little Alien Restaurant and Bar, and having amazing sightings and meeting major researchers. Two of my absolute best friends, Steve and Mike, I met there, and it turned out they lived in Southern California in the Orange County area. And so I was able to, become friends with them when coming back home from even the first trip out there, and researcher Bill Hamilton and other researchers out there. And it was having those mind-blowing sightings in '89 that I have to say is all because of Bob Lazar, and John Lear, and is going on Billy Goodman's The Happening at the time, a radio show being broadcast out of Vegas. And it was them talking about it and talking about Bob before anyone knew his name. He was going by his boss's name, Dennis. I'm going to plug in my computer because it just gave me a warning that the battery's going low. So hang on. I'm glad it did, though, because we're going to get that in quickly so we don't have a computer problem. Oh, goodness. I was so quick with all the technical things to get my computer up. Can you hear me okay, Dave? Yeah.
We got you. We got
and to get it up, that I forgot to put the plug in, and so it's giving me a warning. So I need to act fast. Hold on. I'm going to get up and move around while I do
all
this.
right, you do your thing. And while you're doing that, I'm just going to say the one thing about Melinda that we know is that it's always an adventure when she is on this show. But I mean, she is absolutely brilliant with what she knows. And believe it or not, she is so connected to people who are in the intelligence world. People from rock stars to the government agents have come in and actually been on her UFO tour in Sedona, Arizona, wanting to see what is going on. Now, if I'm correct, Melinda, before we get back to your experiences, your tour in Sedona, this UFO tour that you do, I believe
Yes.
you're over 2,100 tours that you've done, and there's
That's
only
right.
been twice in those 2,100.
I just had completed tour 2,165. So that's how many I'm at, 2,165 tours completed. And the biggest factor to not doing it, unfortunately, just happened the last couple of days, which is cloudy nights. I have to cancel if it's too cloudy. I cannot and will not charge my clients for staring at clouds. So,
and one of the things that I was thinking of, if I recall correctly, you've only had maybe 1-2 times ever out of those 2,161 where you haven't seen a UFO.
yeah, no, I think the easier answer is we've always seen them, but I maybe had 3 or 4 tours total, which I don't count in that number, by the way. I don't count those, that I had clients feel maybe they didn't, kind of thing. And now a couple times the clouds have come in and I've stopped, but not including those. So there's times when I've had tours, but again, I don't count them unless we completed a successful tour in that number. And but really that's it. So but we always see stuff. And now we're seeing these objects coming and going from our underground base out here. It's so hard to even put it into words how mind-blowing it is. And I want researchers, Todd, you're listening, anyone else out there, researchers in the field, come. I'll take you for free if you're, like a researcher, an established person in the field, because I want you to see what's going on here, because the implications are so staggering for the underground base out here, which is everything I'm about to say. I mean, absolutely. And we have evidence and eyewitness accounts galore backing these things up, that this base is ETs and humans working together, that we are reverse engineering black triangles and discs, both out at this facility, that there's major aerospace company involvement, and again, that it is, well, I can say this, it's ramping up. It's increased over the last 2.5 years. I've been here doing this for 15 years in Sedona. The first 13 years were really good, great sightings. You were having me on during that period. It was all very exciting. We had significant sightings often. 2.5 years ago, everything about the tour changed with seeing this stuff coming and going from the base, which we had never seen before. And it's giant amber lights, which I've now learned from taking out physicists and plasma physicists. And so that's, everyone talks in this field, Dave, right? About amber lights, about seeing amber, orange, and red. What we've learned is these are still structured craft that we're seeing at a distance. So yes, we've seen full structure 70 times. I'll get into some of those in a minute. But seeing structure craft at a distance that's either too high up, too far away, coming and going from the atmosphere over the area where the base is, and then occasionally going down behind those hills and coming up behind those hills and mountains. And large amber lights, which I've taken out physicists and plasma physicists, including our dear friend Bob, Science Bob McGuire, and what I've learned from these individuals and some specific plasma physicists who've said what we're seeing is ionized air around a craft. So something is generating either, I'm going to quote the experts on my tour, either an obscene amount of power to be ionizing the air around it, and that ionization is electrical plasma. And in the lab, the first color they get when they get plasma is they get amber light, gets gold, more power, it goes orange, more power, it goes red. Then I'm told it's like 50 times more power, you get blue, and then you get green. Now, in the last 2.5 years, we're seeing amber lights easily 50 to 100 times a night. I had a client recently write me a review saying I claimed 50 to 100. Her and her husband said they talked about it for days. They were certain they saw well over 100 and probably 200. No joke. And in the middle of the night, when you cannot see satellites have no lighting on them. You only see satellites because they are metal reflecting sunlight. If you're at the equator or within, it's like 200, 300 miles of the equator, you can see satellites in the middle of the night, way in the northern sky, low. I've done the research and I've asked satellite experts. I've even taken out people who work with Starlink, okay? And our satellite expert friend, Bob, as well. And people he works with have come out with me. And I have learned that in northern Arizona, where we're at like 25, 28, I think it's like 2,500 miles from the equator, you can't see satellites here in the middle of the night. There is a window of time after sunset, it's like 2.5 hours, and before sunrise where you can. And so everyone doing any sky watching during that time has to take in satellites to account, which we do. But now, the peak activity with the base right now, well, it changes up every once in a while. And it just recently, last month or so, moved later. It's peaking actually twice between 11:30 and midnight. So I've been telling my clients, they meet me at 7, stay with me till midnight, because that's when you're going to see the most stuff, at about 11:30. But then I've gone out with special groups and by myself, just wondering how late it went. Because when I took out Ross Coulthart and the group from News Nation, When I took them out to do it, it was peaking between 1:30 and 2 in the morning. And they went out and viewed with me and clients on a tour that ended by midnight. And the next night, I took them out to a special area, just the crew. So it was Ross, a friend of his that was doing some technical stuff with him, a crew of 10. We got special access to a gated community where some friends of mine lived, that couple, and John Dover. What am I trying to say? Native American Ranger, very famous researcher in the community. John and Stan, but John Dover. And so we were at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 people total. And they went out with me at 12:30, but the best signs, again, I told them we're peaking between 1:30 and 2, and they stayed with me till 2:15. And the couple of the guys on Ross's crew were skeptics, and afterwards they said, we're no longer skeptics. They were seeing and filming Black Hawk helicopters, military helicopters, coming up behind our hills, and the lights, the big amber objects, which again, structural craft too far away to see the structure, but seeing the plasma coming in the atmosphere, coming down, the helicopters going up and surrounding them, and then escorting them down behind the hills, and occasionally helicopters coming up behind the hill, followed by a big amber light, followed by more helicopters, clearly escorting them. And that crew said, the ones on there that were skeptical said no longer. Like they said, that was very clear that these military helicopters were escorting these objects. And this is what we're seeing every night, Dave, like 100, 50 to 100 on slow nights and over 100 on busy nights. I mean, and sea of military helicopters. And I've had people zoom in with big telephoto lens that we know the military helicopters are predominantly Blackhawks, and a few Apaches. And this is what we're seeing. And that's why I want researchers to come out here and see the implications. It's hard to even fathom. What are all the implications? It means we're working with the ETs in underground installations. Duh. Okay. The other thing it means, we're doing extensive reverse engineering. Now, are we flying 100 reverse engineering? Yeah, tongue-tied, sorry.
No problem.
Sorry. Are we flying 100 or more reverse engineered craft 5 to 10 miles outside of Sedona every single night? No. The best insider accounts say we have a handful of functioning reverse engineering craft in total. Well, I'm part of a research team investigating this underground base here in Sedona. There's predominantly 4 of us and about another 10 people that help us in a lot of ways. So let's say 14 people. We talk about this often.
Before we have to go to break at the bottom of the hour. We have Melinda Leslie as our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Quick answer here. Out of all the UFOs that you have seen, how many do you think are hidden or secret military aircraft?
Well, that's what I was just going to get into. So perfect. That's exactly what you just jumped in. That was what I was in the middle of saying. Okay. My clients always ask me, is it us, meaning reverse engineered human stuff, or is it them, meaning the ETs? Okay. And I tell them, I said, I have 3 really honest answers. Honest answer number 1 is, I don't know. I tell my clients, you're seeing the same thing I am. I can't tell you who built them or who's flying them. Were they built by us, flown by us, built by ETs, flown by ETs, built by ETs, but in our possession, flown by us, and probably more rarely if they were built by us and being flown by the ETs. But I wouldn't rule out that they're teaching us how to do it. And, truth is, I tell my clients, you're seeing the same thing I am. I don't know. That's honest answer number 1. Honest answer number 2 is that I used to say, Dave, up until about a month or 2 ago, I would say it's likely both. Now I say in the last 2 months, unequivocally, it's absolutely both. And the third honest answer when we come back.
Melinda Leslie, researcher, experiencer, and a great friend of Spaced Out Radios. We're going to get into more UFOs, her experiences, government cover-ups, and everything in between. It's a UFO night here on the mighty SOR. All right, we are clear quickly here. Woo Poo, how you doing? Nice to see you. Carrie Doyle, how you doing, my friend? And Ashley Jones, thank you for coming in from Fort Worth. And who else do we have here? Traveling Fools, nice to see you. And Hillbilly Herb, good to have you here, buddy. And once again, big shout out to Dr. Curtis, paging Dr. Curtis, Dr. Todd Curtis. We're so glad you are here, my friend. We are so glad. He's so damn smart and eloquent. Oh, you should be illegal, Dr. Todd. You should be illegal. I'm just saying. I know you're laughing when I say that right now, but you should be so damn good. Who else do we have here? Blue Cruise. Nice to see you, my friend. And who else do we have here? Who did I miss? Ken Brett, thank you. Skip to my Lou, good morning to you. Acuff, how you doing, my friend? And Claudette, nice to have you here. How did I miss all these people? How did I miss them all? It's because I'm paying attention to Melinda. Fapperino, how you doing, Fapster? Well, I guess we could have done without Fap tonight, but that's okay.
Thank you, super sticker person.
Seraph, how you doing? Welcome to SOR Chat. Auntie Erin. You go by Auntie Erin or Auntie Erin? I always used to be an auntie guy, but as I got older, I became auntie. I don't know why. Let's see here. Integrationing, good to have you here. I will do your question in hour 2, Ashley. I do have it marked. Yes, no, maybe. How are you? Everybody's coming in to see the wonderful and the talented Melinda Leslie. All right. The wonderful, the talented Melinda Leslie. I forgot to fill up my water bottle.
The magnificent and gracious Dave Scott.
You stop right there. You stop right there,
You
young
started
lady.
it. You started it, man.
I know.
We definitely have the Mutual Admiration Society going on here.
Yes.
Mutual love. I'll go into what I call honest answer number 3. I may revisit 2 briefly and then go into 3.
All right.
When we're on.
We got about 2.5 minutes.
You two people, pardon me, I'm gonna snack on something.
All right.
Crazy day.
T-Bone, were you hitting on me earlier? Because it was working.
This is string cheese, and you eat it. How you eat it quickly is in chunks. You don't want to hassle.
I had a great
with the string.
I had a little at our grocery stores. You get these little mini boxes of charcuterie board stuff. I had one of those with some pretzels and garlic hummus. Dave's a happy man right now.
Awesome.
Right?
Yeah, I was so rushed. Dinner got 4 days later.
He makes me laugh. I thought we were only here because we share the hatred of Dave. Oh, this is a guy who has to comb his back hair upwards to give him a full head of hair. Oh, my goodness. Thank you tonight to T-Bone and Ken for our super chats. Greatly appreciated. Don't forget you can shop at our Spaced Out Radio store on our website. Why? We do not have ugly swag, people. No ugly swag. Okay? That means we have no pictures of FAP on our t-shirts or hoodies or even our underwear because nothing's ugly there. So we would appreciate if you do a little bit of shopping there. And we're always adding things on the go here. So Here we go, including our newest shirts that we have. Yeah, we got a couple of new ones. You got to go check them out. Okay, Melinda, we're coming back in 10 seconds. And here we go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go with the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. We're talking UFOs with Melinda Leslie. My name is Dave Scott. We are so proud to have you tuning us in and enjoying a night of woo-filled radio. And I want to remind you that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can always check out our free archives on YouTube or any major podcast network. Our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. Here we go. Melinda Leslie is here. She's a researcher out of Sedona, Arizona. And right before the break, we kind of asked you a little bit of a trifecta of a question. You hit up parts 1 and 2 and then go into your third one again.
Okay, well, I just said, you said, is it ours or theirs, basically, right?
Yeah.
That's what you were asking. And I said, I always tell my clients, I'm a UFO sighting tour every night, when they ask, sometimes I bring it up regardless, but usually someone asks, is it us or is it theirs? And I say, there's 3 honest answers. I'll revisit the first one. Honest answer, number 1, is I tell my clients, you're seeing the same thing I am. I can't tell you who built them or who's flying them, right? If they're built by us and flown by us, or built by ET and flown by ET, or built by ET but in our possession, etc. Okay, because I tell people, you're seeing the same thing I am. I don't know any more than you do. That's honest answer number 1. Honest answer number 2 is that up until 2 months ago, I would say that I would say it is likely both, meaning reverse engineered human technology and ET, as far as what we're seeing on my tours. Now, and that was up until about 2 months ago, but starting about 2 months ago, I started to say it's absolutely both. I realize if I'm getting, like I said, a real honest answer, the honest answer is very likely both. Now, the best insider accounts say, and the best whistleblower accounts and everything, is that we might have a handful of functioning craft in total. I'm part of a group of people researching our underground base here. There's 4 of us on the main team and another 10 people that give us information, support us in a variety of ways. So let's say 14 people. We talk about this and have talked about this repeatedly, and that is, the question, is it us or is it theirs? We believe that at this base that there might be a handful of functioning things at this base, and that we call our research into this underground base here in Sedona, Arizona, a case study for other facilities doing the exact same kind of stuff. Like, you can go to Dugway Proving Ground, Utah, White Sands, New Mexico, Eglin Air Force Base, Pensacola, Florida, Area 51 and Area S4, particularly Area S4, Nevada, maybe Tehachapi, Nevada, et cetera, et cetera. So you can go, I could, Los Alamos, whatever. You could start rattling off different places that are likely to have underground installations involved in some aspect of the reverse engineering and the development of the technology. And Edwards Air Force Base, China Lake, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So you add these together and other places, and I think, Colorado, et cetera, that there may be a handful of functioning craft at multiple facilities. Like we always just say, our research is just because we live here. Okay, so we meet insiders and have people get stopped by the guards on the trails, and people have the sightings, and people find entrances to the tunnel and have run-ins with the guards, etc., etc. So we're just here. So the ease is we're here. We're doing the research because we're here. But we say this is just a case study as an example of all these other locations doing the exact same thing, or likely doing the exact same thing. So that honest answer number 2 was it's likely both. But when we're seeing 50 to 100, or as clients of mine who wrote that review recently said they thought they had like 200 sightings, are we flying that much reverse engineered stuff out of one base 5 to 10 miles outside of Sedona? Oh, heck no. I'll try and keep it clean for you here tonight, Dave. If there was a podcast, I'd let it rip, but this is radio, so I'll be careful. Oh, heck no. Okay. So, but does that mean that all of what we're seeing every night is only ET? Maybe. Or could some of it be us? Probably. So maybe, like a handful of what we see every night might be us. But that would still mean that we're flying a handful of stuff every single night. Maybe. Again, truth is, I'm seeing the same thing as everybody else. I don't know who built or who's flying it. So that was number 2. And number 3 is, well, I think I just gave number 3, which was, I was saying number 2 is it's likely both. And number 3 is that as a team, we feel that because, again, being so close to Sedona, they're not flying 100 reverse engineer craft. I don't think any facility has that. I don't think all the facilities combined have that many. Maybe combined. That might be even pushing it. The best insider counts, researchers and government officials say, no, not that many. But what if it is a handful at each base, and this is much further along than people realize? And that's what I said the implications are. So that third honest answer is just, again, we don't think it's all ours, but we wouldn't rule out as a team of 14 people agreeing that we think probably a handful of it is. And
Melinda, let's take this topic over to the disclosure movement right now, as we were talking with Melinda Leslie, long time.
Perfect segue, because it's absolutely related.
Do you think the government really knows what's going on, or do you think they are just playing dumb with us with the release of some of these files in the 3 tranches that have been released at the website war.gov/UFO?
Okay. Tricky question the way you worded it, and you probably realize you didn't word it right for what you're actually wanting to know. So, but the first thing your question was, does the government really know? Obviously, we're working with ETs and underground installations throughout the world. So the world governments know, yeah, absolutely. And we're reverse engineering the technology based upon many crash retrievals, that technology being farmed out to major government contracting and aerospace companies, etc., and developed different parts develop different places, but they often work together to then assemble the stuff together. It's all compartmentalized. They need to know. So do they know? Yes. Now, does the surface government know? That gets tricky. Does the White House, does Congress, do any congressional House members or any Senate members know? I think the honest answer there would be, yeah, some of them do. You can go to the guys that have, Redstone Arsenal in their constituency, that area in Alabama, or the folks who have, White Sands, New Mexico in their constituency, or the folks that have folks, whatever, that have Wright-Patterson, and even Sedona, So would some of these people know? Absolutely. And those that are given large amounts of money, I mean, at one time, the guy who had Wright-Patterson was getting from some of these aerospace companies $700 million towards his campaign. they bought them, obviously, and so. And he was fighting the UAPDA, Dave. We've probably talked about this before, and you've probably had other guests talk about this, So I think that was Turner, by the way. But so do some of these people know? Are they what's called read in all the way, or read at least partially in, so that they allow the laws and things to happen to benefit those corporations? Absolutely, no doubt. By the way, there's a brilliant researcher. If anyone wants to know the specifics of this, there's a team of guys that are doing really amazing work. But I want to give a shout out to a gentleman who goes by UAP Gerb, another gentleman that goes on X by Missile Man. I think most people know Jack. That's who that is, and Rob Jones, who's now joined News Nation and works for Ross Coulthard. And others. I could probably say others, but these people, they're doing their work. They know their stuff. All the serious researchers in the community are tipping a hat to them. Particularly a young man that impresses the heck out of me repeatedly, and you really need to have him on if you haven't done so already. And that's UAP Gerb. It's just his ability to retain the information of all the SAP, WUSAP programs, how the money goes from all these companies to from the government to these companies, how it's compartmentalized, who the directors are currently and in the past. And I mean, he knows his stuff, and I'm heavily impressed. I follow it loosely as I need to understand. And, there's a company involved out here with our base that I want to ask him what more he knows about it. And I'm talking about Martin Marietta Materials, which is owned 90% by Lockheed Martin. And Martin Marietta Materials operates quarries. But we have evidence that 2 quarries in the area that are partially managed, or operations management is them, that are significant tunnel entrances to this facility. And we've had some whistleblowers, so I won't say whistleblowers because not gone public, some insiders who've come forward claiming to work at the base, saying they work for this company. So that's something I want to work with that team of young men I just talked about to say, hey guys, what do you know about Martin Marietta Materials and their connection, and get some more data there. We did have documentation that as of 2 years ago, they were still owned 90% by Lockheed Martin. And so that would put them directly involved, obviously. And they're well known, Lockheed Martin, and many, many companies are involved in the reverse engineering and the different aspects of it, like I said. So going back to what you said, do they know? Yeah. Do some senators and House members know? Yes. I think the way to look at it is who paid for them, who's backed them financially, obviously. And they'll tell you who right there. And additionally, who's blocked the bills, the whistleblower protection bills, the UAPD, Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena Disclosure Act, part of the defense accounting that happens every year, and where the money is allocated. But they've blocked the laws that have been written in there to to have a process for some of these companies to start coughing up what they have. The parts that can be, that are less about national security and more about the fact we're not alone and there's an ET presence. Coughing up what they can, combined with, again, whistleblower protections, which absolutely needs to happen. I don't know if you're following it, Dave, but it was a big thing out at Contact in the Desert. We had a bunch of the significant government whistleblowers, and man, these guys are getting hammered. They're, as a Millabs researcher, I understand the harassment, surveillance, and some of the stuff that happens. I've had some of it myself. Many of my cases have, but these guys are having all that and worse. They're having it big time, and problems getting jobs, problems financially, problems for their family members. It's you guys who were surprised to pay. And these are the guys, if you saw the hearings in Congress, of which there's been 4 now. If you saw the congressional hearings, these are some of the guys that testified there, and they're having problems. And then a few others that have come forward and talked to congressional members in SCIFs, secure compartmentalized information facilities, and have not testified in a public hearing, but have testified in private. And some of those guys are being retaliated against. It's very, very serious. And laws need to pass to give protection to whistleblowers. You guys, there's a whole bunch of people waiting in the wings. At the risk of catching some flack for this, I'm gonna say something here that I tell my clients, and something I've not really gone public with. Maybe I'll be a little bit careful. A major newscaster that I know well, you can probably fill in the blanks on that, has had 2 gentlemen come to him that either part or all of their experience involves their working out at this base here in Sedona. He's recorded them, interviewed them on camera, but has not put those out. You can even go back to the interviews, for instance, that Coulthard did of, and even, George Knapp and Jeremy and the stuff they're doing, with interviews of people that they'll do and then sit on till they get the legal okay, or the people are going through their DOPSR, process and working with the Intelligence Community Inspector General Office, ICIG, or Military Inspector General Office, to go through the official government process to be official whistleblowers, and to be able to share their stuff without going to Leavenworth for the rest of their life, or without going, against their non-disclosure agreements, or losing all their security clearances and their ability to put their knowledge to use in the future, But they're going through those processes. Well, these 2 guys working out here are going through that process, and those interviews have not been released. Now, I'm told the team, the 14 of us on the team and the core group of 4, that we will be, quoting this gentleman, completely vindicated. I could get some slack for even sharing that, but
part of the problem with the disclosure movement that we are seeing right now, Melinda, because we got about 7 minutes left, is that we're seeing all of these very hyper intensive promos that the politicians are cutting it, like Tim Burchett saying, you know what, if you saw what I saw, you guys would burn your world down, and all of these very, very emotional statements. Lou Elizondo saying, you know what, when this comes out, hug your kids. Like, and I find it very, very almost like WWE type promos that we're seeing in wrestling. And it makes me wonder, if all of this is going on, why are they showing us all of this drab artist renderings and brutal, boring footage of videos that really show us nothing?
Well, you're saying exactly why they had the press conference just outside the congressional building on the steps of Congress, right? Okay, that press conference, which was organized by filmmaker James Fox, our dear friend, and Leslie Kane, again, dear friend, organized by them, but working directly with House members on the committee for secrets task force, that they did that to force Trump's hand, to force the White House. And if you watched it, and if you haven't watched it, you got to watch it. It's only a half hour long. Everybody, this is required viewing for anyone following it or caring 1 ounce about disclosure right now. It's required viewing. Not that they didn't say anything that, that was, until the end, there wasn't a major significant bombshell. But the fact that it happened, and you had House representatives, congressional members, with whistleblowers on the steps doing that, and asking and kind of playing up to Trump, they would be the first to admit, saying, thank you for all the help you've given us so far. Now take this to the next step. Not only release more better stuff and things that, like you said, Burchett says they've seen and others, and the group of them that went out to Eglin Air Force Base, like not only release some of these things, but also sign, because there's rumor that Trump has on his desk. I'm going to be careful here because I don't know what is fact, but I've heard rumor that he has executive orders ready to be signed, for instance, to give protection to whistleblowers and to release more stuff. So I think what is happening here is they're slowly building. Dave, you've obviously heard all about controlled disclosure versus catastrophic disclosure. Yes. We have controlled disclosure going on. They are rolling it out so they can keep bringing more. So each time you're wanting more and you're not shocked. And that's not for you and I, Dave. That's for John Q. Public. So they're not shocked and they're preparing them. And I think that's what's going on. Now, how long that's going to take, I don't know. It can be everything up to political will and the White House and their interest or not, and etc. And sometimes it's frustrating, and there's days where I think, I don't ever think it's going to stop. I think genie's out of the bottle, toothpaste out of the tube, it ain't going back. But there are days where I get frustrated and say, this is going to take so long. At any point, it could be killed, or interest could be killed for a whole number of reasons. And then there's other days where I see it really moving forward. And I think, when I was watching that press conference, Dave, an audience, I thought afterwards, and we did a live thing here with the Center for New Age where it got played on their website. And afterwards, I commented on what I thought about it. And I said, a lot of people will say that whole thing was a nothing burger, except for something at the end, which I can get to. But you can go, well, wait a second. The fact that it even happened, the fact that that press conference, because you go back, and Dave and everyone in your audience, you go back, where were we, say, 20 years ago in this field? And if that had happened with the kind of things that those representatives, Burleson, Burchett, Luna, Moskowitz, brought up, and the whistleblowers who spoke, Grush, and all the others standing behind them, the things that they brought up, you think 20 years ago, you would have fallen over if you heard that. We would have lost it in this field 20 years ago, or even 10 years ago, even before, go back to 2017, that article coming out in the New York Times. Before that, or even the day before that, if that had happened, can you imagine? And that's where we are now, where those things are discussed, not like, we think, they're stating it as fact. You guys, we've come a long ways. Is it frustrating? Yeah, I've been in the field for 36 years, but I never dreamt I'd see this. 20 years ago, I would have said, you're smoking something funny. This wasn't going to happen, and here we are. Now, is it frustrating now? Yeah. Are they releasing stuff? That's all in all, I'll say crap, but you can, if you need to buzz that out, you can. But, are they releasing stuff that's nonsense? Yeah, but in there are a few good things. There are a few good things in there. And you can follow major researchers in the field who are picking it apart. Richard Dolan comes to mind, and others who are picking it apart, and you can know, Luckily, I'm caught up doing other things, so that's not my job. But people who have these podcasts do this and pick it apart. Yay, But are there things in there that are significant? Yeah. But all in all, is it weak when we know what's really out there? Yeah. But you guys, every time they're pushing the envelope, there are things that Lou Elizondo's been saying now. If you go back to what Lou Elizondo said in 2017, 18, 2020, and what he's saying now, it's night and day. You go back to what Grush first said and what he's saying now, holy cow. Yeah, you see? Yeah. Okay.
Melinda, I'm going to get you to hold on right there, because hard to believe we're already 1 hour into Spaced Out Radio tonight with Melinda Leslie. She is an experiencer, a researcher into the UFO world. We are talking disclosure. And in the next hour, we are going to switch topics, because one of the topics that has come up in this disclosure movement is MILABs, otherwise known as military abductions. Is this happening? Melinda knows, and we're going to get to it when we return. This is Spaced Out Radio with host Dave Scott. All right, Melinda, we got about 5 minutes here.
Oh, yeah.
So I was just going to play a video here, okay?
All right. I was saying, oh,
Our merch is Bigfoot approved. We have t-shirts, we have mugs, we have hoodies, we have socks, we have hats, we have stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can buy Spaced Out Radio merch and look the part? Our merch ain't ugly, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Lurking within the forested region of the 108-mile ranch, where the worlds of the normal and paranormal collide. CaribouCon is waiting for you, bringing together a panel of renowned experts in the paranormal, cryptid research, and UFO phenomena fields. Get ready for a spine-tingling weekend in the heart of British Columbia. Enjoy fascinating discussions, presentations, tours of local haunted areas, and skywatching. Learn from investigators, authors, and enthusiasts who explore everything from ghost hunting techniques to sightings of Sasquatch and beyond. Whether you're a seasoned paranormal researcher or just love a good spooky story, this is your chance to connect with fellow enthusiasts in one of BC's most mysterious areas. Tickets are on sale now. Grab yours before they're gone. Visit cariboucon.com for details, tickets, and updates.
Are you ready to dive into the weird and wonderful world of cryptids, cartoons, and chaos? Meet Dirty Filth, Spaced Out Radio's resident cartoonist and master of the mysterious. Every Saturday at 2 p.m. Pacific, join him live on the Spaced Out Radio YouTube channel for Cryptid Cartoons with Dirty Filth, a hilarious hour where he sketches bizarre beasts, shares mind-bending stories, and battles his mischievous cats. Whether you're a UFO enthusiast, paranormal fan, or just love quirky art, Dirty Filth filters the universe through his unique lens, creating cartoons that capture the strange, dark, and supernatural. Follow Dirty Filth on X at Filth1 or Facebook at Dear Filth for more filthy fun. Find his link in the description below.
Spaced Out Radio wants to hear from you. We love our community, and your voice truly matters. Drop a comment after every show and let us know what you thought. Agree with our guests? Tell us why. Disagree? We want to hear that too. We read every single comment. Jump into the live chat during the broadcast and be part of the conversation in real time. Got a killer topic idea? Your suggestions help shape the show. And if you want to take it even further, join our Patreon for bonus content and direct feedback opportunities with Dave and the team. This is your show as much as it is ours. Whether you're a longtime listener or brand new, we want your thoughts, your questions, and your ideas. And let's keep building this incredible community together. Spaced Out Radio, where the conversation never ends. What are you waiting for? We're listening.
with 5 explorable Gold Rush-era buildings said to be home to spirits of a time forgotten. The 108-mile heritage site in the heart of BC's Caribou region offers a unique opportunity for thrill seekers and history buffs. For an evening of historical fun, step into our guided ghost tours, where spine-chilling stories of Gold Rush legends and unexplained encounters come alive. For those craving even more, inquire with us about conducting a hands-on paranormal investigation of your own. And if you're truly brave, book our haunted sleepovers. Spend the night at our B&B inside the McNeil House to truly experience this historical landmark and its ghostly secrets firsthand. For booking or inquiries, go to haunted108.com.
All right, we are back, and we got about 40 seconds left before we relaunch with Melinda Leslie here. And want to say a big thank you to T-Bone ×2, along with Ken, for our super chats tonight. We greatly appreciate your love and support. We really do. And anybody else hop in here while we were looking or lurking at the commercials there? Let's see here. Let's see. Anybody new? Blackthorn, how you doing? Nice to see you. And here we go, everybody. We are into hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Melinda Leslie is our guest. We're going to get into my labs with her coming up here. But first, we want to say hello to all of you tuning us in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. Follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Ursiform. Ursiform is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's bring in researcher and experiencer and very popular person in the UFO disclosure movement. Melinda Leslie is here for over 35 years. She has been studying what is going on with this incredible topic of UFOs. And Melinda, we're always so proud to have you on this show.
Well, I'm always glad to be here, Dave. I always have a good time, and I love you and your audience.
Tell us about what my labs are.
Well, real quick, before I do that, because one thing we said there at the end, right before the break, was regarding the press conference, and I said I kept saying at the very end something significant happened, and it's worth everyone to hear this, either to revisit again if they already know, or if they didn't catch the press conference. Is David Grush, whistleblower David Grush, right, got a question from a reporter in the audience. He got a bunch of questions, but one response was particularly significant. You know which one I'm talking about, Dave?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's this one, and I'll just say, so it boils down to, I'll read the actual thing so everyone can hear it, but it boils down to the U.S. government is aware of non-human, corporeal, bipedal, and sentient plasmoid life. So that was the bombshell significance, to talk about the fact there's even plasmoid beings that is known by the government. So the person asking the question says, can you confirm for us how many species? Recent reports have said that there are perhaps 4 different alien species: Greys Nordics, Greys Nordics, reptilian, and humans, by the way, those are them. And how many species are you aware of? So that was asked of David Grush. His response: I certainly don't have the I rehearsed this even so I wouldn't blow it. I certainly don't have the compendium. It's a continuum from corporal bipedal type life to And they says, well, what I would consider is like sentient plasmoid life. But there are several that the U.S. government is aware of. So that was kind of the biggest bombshell statement. But just the fact, like I said, that it happened there on the steps. Again, when I place myself and go 20 years back, that would have been everything they just stated as absolute fact. It's again, it helps you put it in perspective how far we've come. And the whole reason that happened, the whole reason is they were trying to get the White House to do the next step. And so let's see. It's a wait and see how much success it'll have. But hopefully it helped move things forward. We'll see. Okay, there you go. My labs. Okay, thank you. Oh, goodness. Now, you guys, I have zero prepared, so I'm going to go with whatever questions we get from Dave and from the audience on this. I've been researching MILABS, which is an acronym, MIL for military and AB for abduction, for 35 years. I've worked with, at this point, hundreds of people. When I say worked with, I've interviewed, investigated, etc., about well over 100, maybe 200 people that have had these experiences. I'm easily familiar with like 100 more cases that are out there in the literature, or people who occasionally bring up that they've had this happen. I thought it needed to be readdressed in the community right now because it's come up as part of the disclosure discussion. It had been bubbling up here and there in multiple places, but what really put it on the map was a statement by Lou Elizondo saying, my labs are real, they happen. I would have to look up, Dave, and if you've got it handy or you know the statement, feel free to bring it up. But it was Lou Elizondo making a statement. And then, since then, on more than one occasion, we've had attorney Daniel Sheehan, dear friend, and journalist Ross Coulthart both bringing it up, mostly in reference to the fact of what Lou said. Now, Ross, years ago, besides him coming here with his crew of 10 here to Sedona, investigating the underground base and working with me and my team members for 5 days they were here. Many, many years ago, how I'd originally met Ross is he had called me out of the blue to ask me about MILAB research. And I answered a bunch of his questions. I think it was back when he was working on his book. What's his book, in plain sight? Yeah, okay. He was working on that. I think it was probably before then. And we kind of established, relationship as far as I talked to him then. And so when everything started happening with the base, I asked the team who we should go to for some media investigation because we thought it was worthy of that. And the team agreed that we would go to Ross. So there we go. And but I brought up Ross and George Knapp. Sorry, George. He's probably like, that's right, I had my hands full. I've done another base. Anyways, meaning 51 and Bob Lazar, of course. But S4. But, so Ross took that up. But he had an interest before. So when Lou said it, I'm sure Ross probably went, whoa, fell over in his chair, and realized he had to address it again. Between you and me, I'm kind of surprised I haven't heard from him about it, but I could probably reach out to him. But I thought because it's come up because of Lou and Daniel Sheehan, and I spent a great amount of time, I've been friends with Danny Sheehan for about 30 years. I spent a great amount of time with him at Contact in the Desert and his wife, Sarah, discussing this and how we might move forward. They're very engaged and seriously interested in the topic. Very. In fact, they want to tell you the truth, they want to take more even action on it. I was the hesitant one. Tell you the truth. And they were the ones, we got to go after this. Okay. Which I, of course, answer yes to, even if I do so hesitantly. But now, because of the topic, so he's talking about and Ross is talking about it. So now, what MILABS is. Now, first off, I want to say something that I need to say, and Dave, I'm going to get controversial, but I have a feeling you're ain't going to mind.
All right, you go for it.
Stephen Greer is flat out wrong when it comes to MILABs and abduction and alien abduction. For those of you who don't know, he has said repeatedly, according to certain insiders that he's talked to, that, which I think he's twisting what they're saying, or maybe hearing it from one or two people that maybe have agendas. God only knows. God only knows. But he has said that there aren't any alien abductions because aliens are only here because they're higher beings. It's all positive and they wouldn't abduct anyone. Well, first off, I'll watch my language here, Dave. How the bleep would he know? And because his experiences were positive, you know, I recently had a discussion briefly in comment section on X from someone who had very negative alien abduction experiences. I've been in that research field for 35 years, and I've had my own experiences. So I know alien abductions can be positive, they can be negative, they can be traumatic but still be healing. You know, they can be harmful, they can be healing. It's a huge variety. Thankfully, and I know the research really well, and I feel like I'm speaking for all the major abduction researchers. In fact, I feel I have a responsibility to speak for everyone alive and dead, you know, in the abduction research community, to try to make it sound like I'm representing the research, not just Melinda's own views. And it is overwhelmingly positive, overwhelmingly helpful, overwhelmingly expanding, mind expanding, etc. for alien abduction. And for Greer to say there's no such thing as a scary abduction, well, first off, that's wrong. Now, a lot of times, was it because something bad happened? Maybe. Or was it the abductee's response to what was happening from their early stage of learning? Because I was more traumatized in the beginning and less over time, and that is commonly shared in the major abduction support research groups and support groups. So is it that's their reaction to it, or was it really bad? That can be debated. But for him to say, therefore, all abductions are only the military, as someone who researches military abductions and covert human involvement, that's flat out wrong. It's still significantly ET in nature. And why are I've beaten my head. Dave, you heard me say this. I've come on your program and said it, and I've said it in other places. I beat my head against the wall. But here we are again, and I'm like, I got to step forward and address this. I think now I am not the only one looking into this, and there's some other abductees public with their MILAB experiences, and there's a few other researchers who bring it up from time to time, and some researchers who are still alive that have cases of it, but only by default. So I don't want to come off as an ego thing about this. I think I'm the key researcher talking about MILABs by default because I'm the last man standing, and some of the other people have receded into the shadows, if you will, and aren't talking about it aggressively and openly. My apologies to anyone out there if they say, Melinda, I've been talking about this. I just wrote a new book about it. Let me know. I may not know about it. But I think at this point, I'm the leading person on this. And I had done 35 years of research. I earned that. I did the work, the homework. I've worked with cases and helped people through their experiences. First off, I'll say this. So getting back to the definition, it means people who have alien abduction experiences get targeted by covert human agencies because, and this is the thing I was saying, I was hitting my head on the wall again all the time, because they've had ET experiences, Dr. Greer, because they're having ET experiences are why the covert guys are interested in them. And now talked about in disclosure is what are the things that they're interested in. They're interested in the technology, how it operates, that it's all consciousness. Hello. The ships are all flown by consciousness. It's all a mental interaction. Abductees are able to do this. They're shown how to fly the ships. They're sat at the controls. This is as common in the experience as, well, almost as common as the hybridization program.
Right.
Okay, which is, so this happens in ET experiences. So the covert guys are like, okay, I want to know, what's that technology? What have you seen? How do you operate it? How do you do it? And so it's what we've seen in the technology itself. So that's the technical question. And all the technology on board craft and all the technology the ETs use. That's one. Then it's, how does that stuff work? How does it function? And what is the psi component, PSI, the psychic, the consciousness component to that? And then now we get into this term that's become, commonly talked about in the field now, psionics, which I think was always there. It's just surfaced again. But psionics, that ability to mentally interface with the craft, and thus use your consciousness also to draw them in. Yes. Okay. And then the hybridization. How have we been changed? Why are the ETs interested in our DNA? What do they know about our DNA? Have we been affected or changed? Why the hybrids? Why do all these abductees, are they raising hybrid kids on Earth? You don't think the guys running the covert program aren't deeply concerned about that? Oh, yeah. And then on top of that is, what are their motives? Because that's behind everything I just said. What are the ET motives? And all these things are, and then also doing mind control on us, practicing, developing, and using it to repress our memories. And these things are all of interest to the covert guys. And they want to use what they can from the technology. They want to use what they can from us in their relationship with the ETs. They're wanting to find, you talk about, it's come up in recent discussion, the GATE program, these kids who have these abilities, who are able to do these things. Why? Because that's how the technology operates. We can't be on level playing field with the ETs without that understanding. And you don't think they're not trying to train pilots and other individuals in the military, in the intelligence community, how to do it. And if, by God, if they can recruit an abductee, they're going to, or they're at least going to study what they do to figure out how to duplicate it. And so to me, it would make zero sense. It does make zero sense if they're not interested in the abductees. And of course they are. Hello, don't we just have a major movie out right now addressing this very thing?
Melinda,
called Spielberg's Disclosure Day.
Here before we go to break.
Yeah.
You have had MyLab experiences. What's the difference between that and an actual alien abduction?
Well, sometimes they're together. So, okay. Because we are working with the ETs. And there's more than one ET race. You go, well, why would they be wanting to know about the ETs that are already working with them? First off, it could be a very tenuous, limited relationship that is one-sided. That maybe the ETs aren't fully telling them everything, A. B, there's more than one ET race. They could be working with one to find out about another. Don't rule it out, I don't have all the answers. I know what the abductees experience. So getting back to your question, ET abduction, and there's another abductee online that just today we had this little brief thing going, and a couple other people discussing about, contact versus abduction versus experiencer and the different terms. And I, at some point, I need to write something down, making that clearer for people. I mean, a lot of researchers know, and I think I would be stating what's already known, but put something in writing and share it out there. But alien abduction tends to be, okay, well, there's conscious contact. Let's start with that. Conscious contact is you have some choice to participate. You have a conscious choice to participate, and you maybe are even told ahead of time that you're going to have interaction with an ET. Okay. Dave, I think that applies to you. I mean, a lot of people can have multiples of these things. This isn't like you're just this or you're this or you're this. you can cross over.
Right.
Okay. I hate the term experiencer, so I'm not even using it anymore. And there's because of the disclosure stuff going on, I think it just confuses stuff because it's meant everything and everything happening to anyone. Bigfoot, ghost, UFO sighting, you're still called an experiencer. It's lost its meaning when the people who originally used it hated the word abduction. Yeah, we all hate it, but it's got a historical context now with the major researchers in the field. I think we need to just stick with it because everybody knows what it means. Okay, so going back, I know you know, Dave, but for your listeners. Okay, so alien abduction is you're taken by ETs without, not necessarily against your will, because there can be a past life agreement, a spiritual agreement, a genetic agreement. Regardless, there's always a spiritual reason for everything. Everything is consciousness. But going back to, so without conscious consent, so no, without conscious consent, involvement with ETs, which may be taken or maybe not even taken, just in your environment. So ETs in your environment without conscious consent, interacting in a variety of ways. Okay, I think that's the easiest definition for abduction. Right.
Okay.
And then MILAB means a whole variety of things. It's covert human involvement in your abduction story. So it can be everything from low-grade harassment, surveillance, and monitoring, and that's it. But if you're an abductee that has human interest in you, covert human agency, which can be military, can be government, it can be contractors, paramilitary, it can be intelligence community. It's probably all the above. That involvement with an interest in you is an abduction case, which can start from harassment, surveillance, and ramp up to all sorts of things. It can ramp up to being abducted at the hands of military, to be interrogated or have medical procedures or psychic procedures or mind control procedures, or all the above. And it can even go even further to where you're recruited into programs. Because I know people that's happened. And everything in between. By the way, I'm about this, what I call this scale of what I just said. I'm about somewhere in the middle, or maybe three-fourths of the way, but I'm not all the way because I have not been recruited into programs to the best of my knowledge. Preface it with that. Okay, and then you can have the low-grade harassment. So some people just starts there and that's all. But that's still significant because if you're an abductee and that happens, first off, that right there, when you start having phone stuff or people following you or weird phone calls or black helicopter harassment or whatever, it can be extremely intimidating. And I think that's one of their purposes to doing that. Why do that? They can do things behind the scenes where you wouldn't know they're around, meaning the covert guys. Why would they do that? They want you to know. Why do they want you to know? Well, they want to intimidate you. What does intimidation do? It means you're not talking about your alien experiences. And it's very effective because a lot of people clam up, go dark, go deep, go behind, they recede from any spotlight when they start to have that. And then the whistleblowers right now, like I said in the beginning of the program, having the government whistleblowers having harassment, boy, do I feel them because I know what that's like. And they're having it worse. Although some abductees have had it that bad. It can get very bad. And why? To intimidate you. Why are they having it happen? To intimidate them. No doubt. Because even though we're getting disclosure and there are people within government and the House, the Senate, the White House that want this, there are those that clearly don't. And those with the trillion-dollar corporations don't want to lose their golden egg, their goose that laid the golden egg. They are some of them fighting back? Yeah. Ask those government whistleblowers, yeah. So and abductees lay low on this, Now, I never chose to lay low on it per se. I just got busy doing other things. I have a life. Very busy one, but I realize now it's like, wait, I know this research. I know the cases. I know the evidence. I need to talk about it.
Melinda, we're going to go to break here at the bottom of the hour. When we return, more My Lab talk, audience questions as well, with researcher, experiencer Melinda Leslie on Spaced Out Radio.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott.
All right, we are clear.
I get on my soapbox.
I know. I love it when you do.
I'm passionate.
You are. That's why I love you.
But I've earned it, Dave. I've earned that passion. And some of it because of my own trauma, and the cases I've worked with, and 35 years of being in the field. And I start to lose my, yeah, that too. I start to, 2 calling birds, 3 French hens. I start to lose my patience with people about this. Sometimes my pulling back, not talking about is because I lose my patience, but I realize when it's getting talked about, I'm like, I have a responsibility to the people with experiences and to the research community to pull their out of their pull their head out of their I could say head, and also to the experiencers to go, hey, you're not alone, and I know this is tough, it's real tough, and it speaks to some of the problems with disclosure, no doubt. It is a big problem. The whole abduction thing is a problem for disclosure. And even the representatives, they know it. They've discussed it. But at the same time, it has to happen. It has to be discussed. This is what I'm talking to Danny and Sarah about. It's got to be part of the discussion. And there's got to be protections in place for abductees and MILAP victims both.
Well, we'll see if that actually happens.
If I have any say so, it will. I'm just one person, but thank God I'm well connected. I have good friends.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I'm exceptionally blessed by my friends in the UFO community and the support I've had over the years. And I know a bunch of very highly placed people. Everything from people, like you said in the beginning, everything from people in the intelligence community to research community and even Congress.
Are you still talking to certain gyms?
Not in a while. We're still friends and stuff, but it's probably been a year since I've spoken to him.
Right.
But I think about it, and even in the midst of all this, of reaching out to him, maybe because I'm doing this and saying this right now, word will get back to him. But I can reach out to him, and I have a couple good reasons to contact a particular congressperson I'm friends with.
Right.
And about, not regarding this, about some other stuff, but I might throw this in there and say, should you want to talk to me, I'm here for you.
That's excellent.
But I have good other reasons. So I'm not calling him about this. I'm calling him about something else. Business. But, foot in the door, use it, right? And it's a tough thing. And as I already just said, it's absolutely happening because abductions are very real and very important. And I've said all along why the ETs are here.
We got about just under a minute, Melinda.
Well, that was a special little tidbit there just for the YouTube audience.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Because I can't remember everything I said to repeat it. But some of it might get repeated in response to questions and stuff. If you don't find Melinda interesting, check your pulse. Thank you. Mwah.
That's T-Bone. We love him around here.
Thank you.
Nobody's allowed to take him. He's ours. A big thank you tonight. T-Bone with a hat trick of super chats. Shogun, Ken, and Mark, thank you for the love and support. Here we go with the next half hour, everybody. We are into the second half of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. We appreciate you tuning us on in wherever you are on this beautiful planet we call Earth. As we bring in Melinda Leslie, experiencer, researcher, working towards the disclosure movement. We're talking about My Labs. We got to get to some audience questions here in just a second. But for My Labs, you have had an encounter or two with this, Melinda.
Yes.
How does this go? Tell us about one of your encounters.
Oh, goodness. Well, they take a while, but maybe I can give a, as we used to say, Reader's Digest condensed version, Dave. Oh, God, I'm showing my age. But I'll, thumbnail version. I'm trying to think of, by the way, I've had 9 military abductions. I'm pretty certain I've had 9. I can be absolutely certain about 6 or 7 of those, but I'm pretty certain I've had 9. I've also had a lot of harassment, surveillance, monitoring kind of stuff. At times, in the last 35 years, sometimes there's been more or less. I've been in a quiet period that way, but there were times many years ago where I had a lot of that going on. Which experience? I could give a thumbnail. We're not going to have enough time, really. A thumbnail of one that's kind of traumatic, and a thumbnail of one less. I think I'll do the less traumatic, although it's also complicated. Just so everyone knows, about a little over a month ago, was in Colorado filming 3 TV shows for Gaia Television. That our friend Sid Goldberg asked me to come do, and so I did 3. They will all be on Cosmic Disclosure show. And I was interviewed by Emery. I know, controversial, but he did a fantastic job interviewing, with a lot of direction and production being done by Sid. I was glad to do it. I originally agreed to 1. He added another, and then 4 days before I got on the plane, another. But one was, which is I'll get into in just a minute, which is a group mass MILAB abduction. And Jocelyn, Jocelyn, of course, Dave, right?
Yeah.
She went with me because it was an experience we were both involved in, of a mass MILAB event. So I'll share that. And we did a whole show about that. I did a whole show about Sedona's underground base and some of the best evidence we have for it. And then I did a whole show about hybrids, alien abduction and hybrids, because, of course, the Matt Gates statements, et cetera, et cetera. And was very proud to do them. But Jocelyn went with me, and we covered the mass abduction. So what had happened is in November 2010 or 2011, doesn't matter. Right before I moved out here to Sedona, which was going to be early the next spring, But I came out here to have a meeting, and I did 2 different trips to meet with the owner of this place I'm in right now, the Center for the New Age. I'm in my office there. And I'm here because of better internet. So, coming out here to do a trip, came with my friend Bonnie. We stayed in Jocelyn's house. She had a little casita, like a mother-in-law unit. And it was her husband, Bill, and her daughter, Brenda, 25-year-old, visiting home from college. By the way, just had 2 babies. Congratulations. Twins, actually. So Jocelyn's first grandchildren, for those that know her. Yay. Okay. But going back to, so Bonnie and I in the guest house, her on a sofa bed, me, which swayed in the middle. So we had me on a big, nice air mattress on the floor in the same room. And then Jocelyn, Bill, and Brenda from the main house had what seemed at first to be an alien abduction. I'll just speak to my own part to make it simple. Woke up during night, beam of blue light coming down over me, and then one coming down over Bonnie on her bed. Both of us immobilized, grays emerging out of the darkness into this cones of blue light, if you will. And then we were removed from our beds and lifted up. Very typical alien abduction. And by the way, everyone involved, the 5 of us, remember this experience. And 2 years after the experience, a gentleman coming to Sedona with him, a grown man in his 40s, and him and his mom came to Sedona, but they wanted to meet with, and came on my tour. I'm sorry, they came on my UFO tour. And then they wanted to meet with me privately the next day. Long story short, his mom went to the restroom, and they were sharing abductions they had had. But his mom went to the restroom, and he said, "Can you meet with me the next day?" The next day I met with him privately, and he proceeded to share with me 3 MILAB events that he had had here in Sedona. One of them, he knew the date and all the details, and from complete conscious memory, he ended up going that he was one of the other people in our mass abduction. Now, he didn't know that he was just telling me an abduction, and okay, so going back to, because I'll say he was in the hallway in this underground base with like 100 people. And after he told me, I let him tell his whole story. And then I told him we'd gone out to lunch, sat privately. He told me his whole story. And then he said, "Have you ever heard of anyone else who was one of the people in that hallway?" And I said, "Yeah, me and my friends." And then shared our account with him after he had finished sharing his whole account. So I didn't risk contributing or contaminating his story. But he remembered it consciously. And so what had happened to us is we were taken from the house, we're taken on board a ship. And it was ET in nature, and we were shown these geometric shapes that floated. And the ETs were wanting us to look at these and keep focused on them, because that was going to mean something. And then we were beamed down, because I realized we're so short on time, so I got to speed this up. We were beamed down from this like little ET scout ship, and that was Jocelyn, Bonnie, and I remembering the detail. Her daughter and her husband remembering less, but that came out later. But they were there. But we remembered like moving these ships, these shapes that were floating above us, geometric shapes on board the ship. Then we were beamed down to a parking lot behind, it's changed up now, but it used to be where they had school buses, behind the high school here in Sedona, on the edge of town, 89A and Upper Red Rock Loop Road, for those familiar with the area. And we found ourselves standing there, but there was a bunch of other abductees. We figured there were at least 3, maybe 4 groups that each had a handful of abductees in it. And then there was a white in this town, we have a lot of these like commuter vans with bifold doors on the side. They're used for the Jeep tour companies and companies that are taking people out to the Grand Canyon from here, et cetera, and local city transportation. So here's an unmarked one of these white vans with bifold doors, and we're surrounded by military guards, camouflage, guns, combat boots, standing parade rest, for those familiar with military, standing parade rest. But we were surrounded by them. A guard by the door on the van, and we were then escorted onto these vans. We were then driven, so I just remember one van, if it sat 24 people, maybe the three groups all got on. It's hard to say. Or was there another van? But regardless, we got on that van. We were driven, and believe me, Joss and I have worked on this and tried to rework. There's really only one choice of the direction we probably went after checking out many of the roads going back into our canyons. And I know the area well and have examined it in great detail on Google Earth, and have been down all the roads going back to the absolute best of my ability. So for those that know the area, it was probably the Loy Canyon area with the possibility of Spring Canyon. But we were taken back there on this van, pitching and yawling as it went on really rough dirt roads. And going maybe down 525C or 525 for those that know the area. Anyways, but so we eventually end up pulling into what looked like a temporary, like a gate set up, like a chain link fence set up temporarily. And there were other vans there, and there were black Jeeps and military guards. We were escorted out of the van, escorted into doorways on the side of a building. The road, not road at that point, a dirt area gave way to some asphalt, and we were escorted over to the side where there was a moving walkway, just like you have in airports, just like in an airport. And so we're escorted onto there. As we're going down this walkway, we can tell we're looking out over what were big windows, I think open area, looking down over a lower area. So we're in an underground base because these doors were on the side of a mountain, Red Rock here in Sedona. And there was above us an archway kind of sticking out of the Red Rock that we have tried to find. But you guys, not like you can easily go there. We're realizing it would take a lot of effort. And there's actually a little gated community back in one of these areas. Maybe we went through that. So, but there were these utility doors, rock face, and doors like utility doors like you'd have in a entrance to a gym or movie theaters, outdoor, side of a movie theater, that kind of thing. And then, like I said, we were escorted down this little bit of a hill. There's a road, and then we're on this moving walkway. We're overlooking an area, looking down, and there looked like lab, manufacturing, research kind of cubicle areas down below.
Weird.
And all these other people. So there was a lot of people. And then eventually down another hallway, and we eventually got to this other hallway. Long story short, I'm just lined up, and everybody, no one completely naked, but everyone in various states of dress, like they were taken in the middle of the night. And if you were naked, they gave you grabbed some clothes, or they, whatever, out of your environment. But when we were taken by ETs out of the house and brought back by them at the end. I call that a handoff event. This is common in MILAB events. You could have an experience that's completely humans, covert humans, never seen ET ever. You can have an ET abduction there. For instance, in the early 90s, I was driving with two male friends. We had a complete standard, missing time while driving ET experience. The three of us removed from the car. But there was on board the ship, a military guy, a naval guy, like naval officer, monitoring the procedures. So at that point, that became, it's an ET experience with a little bit of military presence. In this case, this was a combination, but some people have completely military and there's only one ET in part of it. So it can be any combination thereof, in other words. So, but we're lined up in this hallway. They take us in small groups of 10 to 15 people at a time. And there were like 100 people lined up in the hallway. No one ever really counted, but that's probably about accurate. That's what the gentleman who came to me 2 years later remembered, 100 people lined up in the hallway, and taken into this room and sat in these little white chairs like you'd seen in schools, you know, white plastic metal legs kind of thing. And then you were stood up. I think they did like 2 people at a time, but they put this mesh cap on your head with electrodes, and then they had you move an object with your mind, psychokinesis. Could you move this object with your mind? And there were ETs present, what is typically referred to as elder grays. A little bit taller, sunken cheeks, wrinkled foreheads. Right. Okay. And that they would assist you. They were standing around you, and there was a guy in military brass, and then the back of the room was this tiered, leveled section, like if you think of like choir steps, you know, like choir sing, okay, but this level thing. And there were these utility folding tables, like white folding tables, like speakers at conferences get, you know, okay, and computers on them, and people in lab coats, and military people. And they would have you move this, but they were monitoring your brainwave. And I think there was a biofeedback thing, because if you did it, they then played it back, I think stimulated those areas of your brain to see if you could do it again. Like they recorded your brain waves and then re-stimulated it or back to you in a biofeedback mechanism to see if you could do it again. If you did it successfully, if you gave them a bad time, lip service, Bonnie kind of did an experience. If you didn't do it, whatever. They took you to a door at the other end of the room. A guard would open the door, and you'd go out it and go to the right. People who did it successfully would be taking that door and go to the left. Jocelyn did it ahead of me. She goes to that door and goes to the left. Then I do it. I do it successfully. I'm taking out that door and go to the left. A couple minutes behind her. They take me into this other room where there's, again, folding tables. There's top military brass, a guy in a suit, and guards. And there's this weird control panel thing that looks like an ET control panel. They have a thing on the table. There's no ETs present in this second room. They ask you to move this thing on the table. Can you slide this thing across the table with your mind? Do psychokinesis. But you just did it successfully with the ETs helping you in the other room, and then feeding the signal back. So I think there was a residual thing that right away, if you went to this other room, if you just did it, you're probably going to be able to do it even with the ETs present. And I did. I moved the thing. But I was more interested because behind that was this thing that was either a mock-up of an ET control panel or an actual ET control panel. And I was more interested in that. It had sticks and knobs on it. But this is the thing, Dave. The same things that the ETs had showed us floating in the air above us were the geometric shapes on these knobs and levers. And I think we were moving that with the ETs. Joss and I joke about this. We feel like the ETs helped us cheat. Because suddenly, now they were saying, move this thing on the table. I was more interested in the panel, and I moved the knobs on the panel. By just looking, I'm wondering, I wonder if that moves. That knob looks like it'd go up. That one looks like it slides sideways. And then they did. And there was a guy in a suit and a military brass, and the guy, or maybe not a suit, but plain clothes, he turned to the guy in the military brass, and said, kind of half under his breath by her, he said, "We got another one." And then they said, "Thank you, Ms. Leslie. This wasn't a traumatic experience." I mean, the whole thing was, but they were good bedside manner, very, they were thanking me, thanking us. Okay. Then they turned me around, and there's a guard goes, come with me, and goes to take me out of the room. I turn around, sitting in the back in one of these little white plastic chairs is Jocelyn doing this, Dave. 2 thumbs up, like, good job. I didn't even know. When they took me in the room, she was in the back. They took me straight over this panel. I never saw her. I faced there, did everything. It wasn't until I turned around to go and they were escorting me out that I saw her sitting back by the door. And apparently she had done the same thing because she's there like this. Then they took us to a medical room, did a cursory medical exam, mostly I think just checking us out, making sure we're good. And then you're given the infamous little Dixie cup of bleep to drink.
4 minutes, Melinda. We have 4
okay,
minutes.
you drink this stuff, and that's the mind erase stuff. And I've been given that in multiple experiences. And then they're taking us out, down the hallway, back the moving walkway, back out into the vans. But there was a point in the hallway where the stuff was coming on, and Jocelyn, they'd done all that with her ahead of me, so she's probably in the hallway 5 minutes before me. When they take me to the hallway, she's like doing weird things with her hands, like boxed in and strung out. and then she stares in my eyes and crosses her eyes, and I started laughing. Well, you guys, there's 100 people in the hallway in various stages of really freaked out, and they did not like that we thought this was funny. I mean, because just the way she crossed her eyes and was messing with me, because she was already on that stuff and I was coming on to this hallucinogenic thing. And then we were escorted out, put on a bus, back on the same van, and we passed out on the van. We passed out on the van, but I do remember the ETs bringing me back, putting me in bed. And no joke, you guys, I'm laying there fully conscious after the ET part at the end. And I'm laying on the ground on this thing, looking up at slats that are mini blinds on the window. But at that angle, I can see through them. It's like they were partially open, And I saw a craft, and no joke, I'm fully conscious right after the ETs leave. I get up off the bed, I go to the window, I pull the mini blinds, and I'm seeing a ship. And I had a conscious sighting. There was a big pine tree in her yard. It went behind the pine tree. I go to the front door of this little casita guest house. I go to the front door. I hesitate for a minute because I'm a little bit afraid, because if I step out that door, I'm going to be right under craft. And I said, I don't know if this is the beginning or end of an experience, but I don't want to put myself right under it. And finally I said, Melinda, you got to go. And I went out the door and it was gone. So I missed it then. But I watched out the window go across the sky and behind the pine tree. And then the next morning when we got up, we all consciously remembered. We talked about it the next morning. Conscious memory. And then in the yard was no joke, like a crop circle. We had landing trace evidence in the yard.
Oh, that's interesting.
And we took photos of it. I wanted MUFON to come and do an investigation. The family did not want that. So it did not happen because the family didn't want it. But we investigated it. We just didn't have any outside person come in to do soil testing or whatever because the family didn't want it. And it's their house. I have to respect my friends. Okay, so that's the whole thing. Joss remembers the whole thing exactly the same. So does Bonnie. Everybody remembers it. And then one of the gentlemen in the hallway came to me 2 years later, out of the blue, tells me his whole experience, the date and everything. He was there. Same experience. But that's just one of many. I've had 9. Like I said, that's 8 more.
1 minute to go. And unfortunately, we're not going to get to any audience questions here. So we're going to have to.
I can answer. Got one good one. I'll answer one quick one.
Well, I've got like 20 questions to go through here. But Melinda, you know what? We got to bring you back.
Okay.
Okay. And you know what
next time I can go straight to questions, or
we will do.
Whatever.
You know what? I will message you tomorrow and we will get a date. I want you to look at your calendar and we will do a straight Q&A with Melinda Leslie about my labs, about UFOs, absolutely everything. You know what? I feel bad because our time is running around. Unless you want to stick around with Christian and I next, and we could get to some questions. If you want to go another hour, that's up to you.
Who's Christian? That's just your after show.
He's the cryptid gee.
Yeah, I can. Dave, if you want me to, I'll do it.
Well, I think Chris should be okay with that. Yeah, he's giving a thumbs up. So let's do it. We'll continue. Audience questions with Melinda Leslie and the cryptid Guy, because he's always so handsome.
And is that you audience only then? Or?
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with your host, Dave Scott. All right, Melinda, we got about 5.5 minutes. And yeah, it'll be audio and video too. We'll bring Christian in here momentarily. Okay? All right, here we go. Video time.
Stop now! You're under arrest! Hands up! Don't move!
Don't get caught without your Spaced Out Radio merchandise. We have t-shirts, mugs, hoodies, socks, hats, stickers, and so much more. Whatever you're looking for, we have you covered. Why just be a fan of the paranormal when you can look the part? We don't have ugly merch, folks. Check out the Spaced Out Radio store. Find the link in the description below.
Dirty filth. Dirty filth. Dirty filth.
Object is heading north 045 degrees. It's definitely not a plane. It seems to be tethered to something. Is that a banner tow? Caribou Con. Does anyone know what Caribou Con is?
Caribou Con, one of the BC Caribou region's best-kept secrets. Until now. Join our panel of renowned paranormal experts for a weekend of fun and intriguing presentations. Go to cariboucon.com to book or inquire now. Discover Spaced Out Radio on all your favorite platforms. We're live every single night with the best in UFOs, cryptids, paranormal, and the unexplained. And you can find us on all your favorite platforms. Head over to Instagram for behind the scenes and daily weirdness, TikTok for quick mind-bending clips, Facebook for community discussions, and X for real-time updates and hot takes. Wherever you scroll, Spaced Out Radio is there. So go search Spaced Out Radio on every platform, hit follow, and turn on notifications so you never miss a single episode. The weird is waiting. See you there.
The McNeil House is one of several buildings at the 108-mile heritage site said to be haunted by spirits of a time long forgotten. But would you stay the night? Along with guided ghost tours and paranormal investigations, Haunted 108 is offering a chance to spend the entire night inside the historic McNeil House by booking one of our B&B style sleepovers, where you can experience the hauntings firsthand, meet the resident ghost cat, and witness unusual activity. If you dare to turn history into a night you'll never forget, book your spot now at haunted108.com. Spots are limited. Will you be brave enough?
All right, we're going to bring Melinda back in, and we're going to say hello to the cryptid Gee. How you doing, my friend?
Awesome, man. How are you doing?
Good. You're looking good, my man.
Thanks.
All right.
Dave, I've got a little bit of a surprise treat.
Ooh.
If
you
it'll
hold on
work.
to that. Don't go anywhere. We're going to skip Swamp Dweller tonight. We're just going to get right into audience questions. And quickly here, Jason Herenda, welcome to SOR Chat. And Miss Tessa Marie, looking lovely tonight. How are you? And who else are we here or jumped in here? I think we're caught up. We caught up on people? I think we're caught up. All right. We're coming back in 5 seconds, everybody. Here we go at the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Melinda Leslie is going to stick around for the next hour. We've also been joined by the cryptid Gee, Christian McLeod, filling in for Robin Haynes. But first, we want to say hello to all of you listening in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on every major podcast network, our website, spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the Newswire, check out our swag as well. You can follow us on X at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and on Patreon in the Space Travelers Club. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club, Ursiform. Ursiform is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets the password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Let's bring back in. We have Melinda Leslie. We're going to get to audience questions. Cryptid Guy, Christian McLeod, is here filling in for Robin. We're going to take a break from Swamp Dweller tonight because we got a bunch of questions. And Christian, Melinda, is also part of MUFON down in North Carolina. So he is very much well attuned to UFOs and the stories that come along with it as well. Now, Melinda, during the break, you said you had a surprise for us.
I have a surprise. Can you hear me okay? Oh, can you hear me, Dave?
Absolutely.
Okay. It's weird. I'm getting a different sound quality, kind of an echo, but that's all right. Okay, now I have about 10 images, drawings by me, by people for me, and by Jocelyn that I can share. They're all okay to share because we made sure before even using them for Gaia. And would you like me? I already have them up. And how do I do a split screen from Streamlink? Because I can.
All you do is it's going to be difficult for a radio audience to see them. So,
I'm sorry. I thought we were on YouTube only now.
Nope, we're still on the radio. So let's just hold off on those.
Okay.
Right now, let's get to some audience questions here.
Okay. Well, I do have some drawings made of that experience, the ETs, the procedures, etc. But that's when you, if you ever want me to share them with you.
Cluster wants to know: should there be a victim compensation fund for my labs and abductions, and how could an abduction be verified?
Well, evidence. whether it's alien or MILAB. So again, the evidence, witnesses, physical evidence. I mean, from that experience, we had all sorts of physical evidence. First off, we had the 5 of us witnesses all involved. We had the gentleman who came 2 years later, an additional witness separate from us. We had the landing trace evidence in the yard. From other, alien abduction experiences, I have typical forms of evidence that other people have. Scars that appear overnight healed, the infamous scoop marks, needle marks, bruises, scratches, weird rashes, landing trace evidence, a lot of, Debbie Jordan, a very dear friend of mine, very famous for Bud Hopkins' intruder's story and the incredible landing trace evidence that was in their yard. Other cases have this as well. Witnesses, other physical effects, miraculous healings that have happened for people, medically documented, missing time, witness documented missing time. It could go on and on.
Yeah, but the question was, should there be a victim compensation fund?
Oh, I'm sorry, missed that part.
That's right.
Yeah. Well, okay. There's no way to get compensation.
You'd have to admit they were real.
Yeah. There's no compensation from the ETs.
Yeah, you have to admit everything was real.
And MILABs, they would have to admit are real, which I don't think, even with disclosure, that's going to happen. If there was enough evidence for a MILAB case, you might, with information about a facility that you were taken to and procedures and individuals involved, there might be some cases with enough strong enough stuff that that something could be done along that lines. That's something I'm talking to Danny and his wife Sarah about. So so maybe that's down the road, but first we have to get the community. Let's start with the UFO community saying, hey, all this goes on, and then we have to get those whistleblowers and people in government to say, hey, well, they already are saying it's going on, but to address this, and we'll see where it goes down the road. But again, if myself and the New Paradigm Institute has any say so, we're gonna do something about it.
All right, next
what are you going to do? You're going to go to these places? I mean, you're going to storm the gates, so to speak?
Well, we try to do that with the base now, but it's very hard to find the entrances, and then some of them are in these secure quarry facilities that have armed guards at night and stuff. So it's it's a tough thing to do. No, more like just, again, that's way down the road. That's way down the road. Whether first there's got to be the evidence for the underground bases, then there's got to be the evidence of the reverse engineering, and then there's got to be the evidence of the ET presence there. So this is layers of an onion. So, but it can be pursued, and there can be laws protecting those who are having experiences. Part of the whistleblower laws could extend to things that could ways to go against those that are maybe perpetrating harassment and surveillance against you, and limiting that, and etc. And already there's been some known medical compensation cases. So I think there's a way to wrap this into that, and that's again what I'm talking to Danny about. So we'll see where it goes from here, but it has to be done. So, and if anyone out there has knowledge or is a lawyer that thinks they can help, I'll put you in touch with Dan, because we'll move forward for sure.
All right, let's go to Paramarv here. Supposedly the ETs are getting biological material from an abduction. But what is the military gaining from participating in these?
Well, if you go back and without my repeating it, because I already did on the show, but I gave that list of like 5 reasons they're involved with the abductees. They're gaining all that information that I already listed.
If you read Philip J. Corso's book, The Day After Roswell, you guys, let's be honest, the reason why they're getting it is because they want it. We can't stop them. They're going to do whatever the hell they want.
That's right.
I mean, that's the bottom line.
And I agree with you. They have built-in plausible deniability built in too. They're able to get away with it because there's nothing double checking them, no repercussions. And plausible deniability in that they're already denying everything else about the subject. So that's why it's layers of an onion and years before we get there.
All right, let's move on. Let's go to Carrie. Have you ever thought to yourself, I wonder how I could schedule Congress to come and take a tour?
Well, that's already in discussion. There may be one or two people coming. A friend of Dave's and mine is actively involved in making that happen. I hope he's listening tonight. Dave, is that friend of ours listening? I hope so. If not, we'll have him listen to the recording because this is supposedly in the works. You guys, at this point, I mean, have I taken out some significant people on my tour? Yes. Have I taken out a sitting member of Congress as of right now? No. And of course, I would keep that under my hat if I did, but I'll be honest with you, it has not happened. But I want to show them what we're seeing out here. I want to take them around and show them the evidence of the base, like I've done with Ross Coulthard, like we've done with Daniel Sheen, and show them what we can, and also have them witness not just one night, because one night can be less and another night more. I think if someone was to come and do at least 3 nights of viewing with me, at least, to see what we're seeing, and it would blow their minds, man. It would absolutely blow their minds. So I'm again, this is in the works, and I certainly hope it happens.
All right, let's move on to another question here. Let's go to Acuff here. Could some of the sightings be solely ionized gas or plasma?
Sure. I mean, like I said about those 3, honest answers. One is I can't tell you who's building or who's flying it, and something has to be ionizing it. So what is the energy? Because yes, could it be ionized gas or plasma? But what is producing that? So something is producing that. I say it's a craft, and the reason why I say that is this is what structure. We've seen fully structured craft on my tour 70 times. We've seen all the hard edges. We've had stuff right over us, like take a car, truck, SUV, or a cruise ship and float it right on top of us. We've had stuff that close. So now, unfortunately, not all the time. I wish, but it's happened like 70 times out of 2,165 tours. 70 times we've had full structure. Some of those very close, and 8 of those times we had military follow and or chase and or escort the objects. Clearly, aside from the times where the military helicopters have escorted, but I'm talking the structured craft, 8 times escorted or followed or chased. Yes, can it be plasma or gas? But again, my thought to that is something would be generating that energy. According to plasma physicists on my tour and other physicists, it would be an obscene amount of energy. And I'm told 2 things can produce the plasma. One is if the craft is bleeding an obscene amount of energy, like bleeding out as a byproduct of a propulsion system. So you would need a propulsion system to ionize that air. Or something is generating a huge magnetic field because the byproduct of that magnetic field in our atmosphere would also ionize the air. So either way, we're getting ionization. It's just what becomes in question is what is the source. But going back to one thing I meant to say was somebody had on the tour a long telephoto lens on a really high quality camera. Zoomed in on these objects. When they do what we call a power up, they get brighter. They get brighter right before they're going to disappear. They either wink out all at once or they fade out and go dimmer, 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 gone. They zoomed in with a really high quality camera and telephoto lens, and you can see that there is a structured object in the middle of the field. Now the field is so bright, the field effect, I should say, the plasma is so lit up, so bright that you couldn't make out the hard edge of distinct exact shape. Other than you could kind of say, well, that's kind of a disc, kind of a triangle, maybe, but you could say there's definitely an object in the middle of the field. And I'm so glad someone got those pictures because I've been saying that all along. And now I've got pictures, I've got like 4 or 5 pictures that demonstrate there is an object in that field.
All right, let's move on here. And Christian, are you back with us now?
And I'll start being more
back,
succinct in my answer for you,
All
Dave,
right.
and for people, so we can get through more.
Let's go to Dr. Todd Curtis here. Any other locations, U.S. or elsewhere, where this kind of activity happens regularly? He's talking about
Uh-oh. Froze up. Dave, sorry you froze up for a minute.
All right.
Other bases like this where this happens?
No. Dr. Todd Curtis is asking, are there any other locations like Sedona in the U.S. or elsewhere where this kind of activity happens regularly?
I do not know if anyone's investigating to see if it is as regular, as many, and as current as it is here. And it just put me in a unique situation of taking 5 to 10 people every night. You know, I limit my tours to 10 people, but they're often full. So I usually have 5 to 10, somewhere in there, every single night, and seeing it every night. So we're out with using military night vision. Of course, the structure craft is with your own eyes, not with the night vision, and seeing the colors is with your own eyes, because in the night vision, I have the traditional PVS 7 Gen 3s. Everything is shades of green. Okay, so going back to, so the kind of activity is, yes, other facilities. I don't know if it's seen as regularly, but I addressed this in the first hour. There are other places with similar activity happening. I am hearing it from other researchers. There's a place in Tucson where this is being seen. There's a place in Colorado. There's a place in Nevada, you know, so I don't know if it's as much as here, but it is being reported other places. Yes.
All right, Christian, do you know of any hot spots where UFO activity is seen nightly?
You know, just what I've heard from that one particular area near Area 51 in Vegas. And then, you know, there was a place in the panhandle of Florida that was really, really active, but I don't know if it was every night.
Yeah, that's right. Near Eglin Air Force Base, yes. Dugway, Utah, yes. S4, Nevada, yes. I hear there's a place in Colorado having a bunch. Beyond that,
I did the Sagebrush Ranch Trail, and that's on the outer. I'm sure you've heard of that. That's on the outer limits of Area 51, and it's a horseback ride on the old Conquistador Trail. And we were finishing up our ride at night, and the sky just, once it turned dark, it was crazy. It was the stuff we were seeing up there, and it was all without any kind of night vision. It was just you're watching the stuff just go bing, bing, bing. It was crazy. That place is insane up there.
Dave, no one has asked why. Based upon what we're just saying right now, I might be this is pure speculation, but I've taken a few of the insiders who have said starting in 2027 through the early 2030s, we're supposed to have mass contact over major cities. Now, I have no idea. Don't anyone hold me like Melinda said. Well, I'm just saying they're saying this. I have no idea if it's going to happen or not. But some of these individuals have come on my tour and have said what we're seeing here is the beginning of that, with covert black ops, and the contractors being trained for that mass contact, and, you know, and running through scenarios and whatever in preparation for that mass contact. And I have no idea, again, if that's true, but this suddenly started happening the end of September 2023, this new activity, and has gone consistently ever since. And that's the first explanation that I've heard that made sense, that might justify why the constant activity that we're seeing here, and as we just said, in these other locations.
Let's move on to another question here. So we got about 5.5 minutes. Let's go to T-Bone here. I know I've asked this question before, which he has, but I would love to hear your opinion, Melinda, on the work of Dr. Beatrice Villarreal's work.
Mm-hmm. I'm not intimately familiar with it. I kicked myself. I meant to go hear her at Contact in the Desert. She was a speaker, and I missed the presentation or presentations. I wish I had. So I'm not intimately familiar, but I think it's very interesting. She may be onto something, and that's about all I know.
What about Dr. Neil deGrasse Tyson's about face on UFOs?
Ugh. Ugh. You know, a term gets thrown around in the field, and I get accused of it, called grifting. I think this is clearly a grift. But hey, better late than never. He's part of the discussion, even whatever his motivations are for that. He's joining in. He's being level-headed and supportive to the best of my knowledge, and all I can do is support that. You know, we've got to be allowing for people coming on board with this. Now, there is someone coming on board that I have problems with, and I'm not alone. We have an interesting thing going on that was just announced in the last 2 days, which was this White House science panel being head up by Avi Loeb. And a lot of interesting individuals going on it. Some I don't know of, but the ones that I do, which is actually easily more than half or 3/4 of them, I do know who they are, and I think that's great, including Timothy Gallaudet and as an example, and Gary Nolan, and some of the people with SCU, you know, are on board. Great, okay. But unfortunately, there's one person who's joined it that I have a big problem with, and so do a lot of people, and that's debunker Michael Shermer. I think that's a total misstep, and I encourage those on that committee to be extremely cautious and maybe even put up an argument, because
what exactly are his qualifications? Because I know who you're talking about, and I didn't know he was on anything. I'm a little surprised because I'm with you on that one.
Yeah, he publishes Skeptic Magazine.
That's right, the Skeptic Magazine. That's all he's got, right?
And he's been a debunker in the field and a thorn in everyone's side for many years. And I feel like shame on Avi Loeb for not knowing that. Now, Avi Loeb has made statements and said in some interviews, even just today, that he's doing this to have a very skeptical person to keep everyone in check. But I don't think this is just a skeptical person. I don't think this is.
I think he's just sitting. You know, he's just he's going to do whatever he can do. You know, all this is, Melinda. I think you'll agree with me on this. All this is a modern day Majestic 12. That's all it is. They're going to come up with new reasons not to tell us stuff.
Or worse, a condon committee. You know, so this is a problem. And Avi Loeb said they're willing to sign NDAs. That cannot be. If they sign on, that's no. So this is rife with problems. I think a lot of people are speaking up. I think people will reach out to some of the members, and we're either going to see members dropping out, or we're going to see them voicing their concerns in this. But I think Shermer is a huge step.
This is another way to set things up so we learn nothing.
Yeah, no, this is a problem. And it could slow down disclosure because, you know, the White House could say, oh, we need to go to the science group, and what they say, and they're going to say, well, we don't have the data yet, and it can really put the brakes on. No, it's a huge, there's a million things wrong with this. I know that Bob McGuire agrees with me, Dave. If you had him on, he'd give you an earful about it. This is a huge problem. And I mean, I don't want to immediately think bad things. Could they do something useful? Sure, if it was set up right, and there are some good people involved, so we'll see where it goes. But lots of red flags are going up for me and other people. We have concerns. I'll tell you specifically, I was on a TV show with Michael Shermer years ago. It's one where Carla Turner was on, and she famously stormed off set. And that was because we were told there would be no debunker, no skeptic, and they planted him, the show did, in the audience. And he proceeded to say multiple lies on the show. We got together with him after the show, and he admitted those were lies. Off camera, he admitted he lied on camera on the TV show. Shermer has zero integrity. He will lie. He did it for our TV show and admitted it to us when the cameras were off. He has zero integrity. Sorry. Thank you.
Yeah, but then again, I want to find out. I mean, I'd like to get into who put him in the committee. I mean, who's the one that said, you know, someone has to put their names up. So these people should be held accountable.
I think Avi did. I don't know. I don't know if it came from Avi.
I mean, someone had to give it to him. I'm sure he didn't know the guy.
We got to go to break here, guys, right at the bottom of the hour. I apologize for cutting you off. Melinda Leslie, Christian McLeod, the cryptid guy, here right after this on Spaced Out Radio. This is Spaced Out Radio. Your host, Dave Scott. You two are too damn good.
I got to lay off the caffeine, man. Here's my little ad for Starbucks.
Right? How you doing,
Hey, man, I didn't sleep well last night, so. Oh, is Guy with us?
Apparently.
Hanging out here with us.
I'm on you guys have my computer. The internet went down. So I'm on my phone right now. I don't know what happened. It's just every time I get on there, it just clicks off. It's probably their ET friends.
It's always the aliens, my man.
Well, when it's not them, it's the government.
It's either one. Gotta love it.
Reminder, after the show, I will be on the air with Walter M. Sterling on WABC.
Awesome.
Shortly after we sign off the air here. You could go to Red Apple Audio Networks to tune that in. It would be fun if you did.
Dave, how'd you meet that guy?
A couple of years ago, I got an email from him and said, I want you to come on my radio show. And it was he was with WPHT in Philadelphia. So I sent him an email back that said, okay, when? And I didn't hear back from him for like 5-6 weeks. Then all of a sudden he brings me on, and he's like, we're going to do this once a week. And you're my guy.
Cool.
Okay. And then about 8 months later, it turned into I'm on the air with him, and he went from 1 day a week up to 6 days a week. And he says to me, or right on the air, he says to the audience, and Dave will be joining us each and every night for the latest weird and strange news. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm doing that. And then when he switched over to New York here a couple of months ago, he's like, by the way, you're coming with me and you don't have a choice. So I said, okay.
Sounds like he trademarked you.
Yeah, pretty much. But I don't mind it. I mean, I'm awake anyways.
No, I like it. He reminds me of like an old time, radio guy from like the 40s. He's got that vibe going. I like it.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's a brilliant broadcaster. Brilliant broadcaster. Let's see here. Let's see here. We got about 2.5 minutes, guys. Big thank you to T-Bone with a hat trick and Anthony coming in with a hat trick. Maggie, thank you for your love and support of Spaced Out Radio. Shogun, how are you? And thank you. Ken and Mark, thank you very much for the super chats as well. I really appreciate it, everyone. And I really appreciate if you all could give us a thumbs up. It helps with the algorithms. Along with, if you're new here, hit subscribe, ring that bell. We are here 5 days a week. 5 days a week. Maybe 7 soon. But 5 days a week. Okay, Cryptid Gee, we got you back there?
Yeah, I'm back on the real computer now.
All right, let me just get rid of that other signal there. I'll boot that one. And there is no chat on WABC, T-Bone, unfortunately. Old school radio. Kind of like old school ufologist rather than new school apologist. Melinda, you want to see a beautiful picture of Christian?
Oh, this would be good.
Christian. Oh, yes.
Right there. Right there. You can
Yes.
tell how happy he is right there.
Christian smile.
There's a story behind that. We were at a. You ever been to a function where someone was answering all the questions, even if they weren't being asked?
Yeah, Christian and I are sitting on stage, and people are asking questions directly to Christian and I. And this, before we could even get a word out, there were two gentlemen, one specifically that would just, I'm going to jump in on that one here. I'm going to jump in on that one. And we never got to actually answer the questions.
Dave, when I had my lecture series in Southern California, which I had speakers every month for like 10 years, right? And that was
10 seconds.
That was one thing as the event host producer, me, you had to learn to cut those people off and say, please direct your question to the speaker.
We are into the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. We're continuing the Q&A with Melinda Leslie and the cryptid guy. We call him Christian McCloud around these parts. A real handsome devil that he is. Absolutely. Just a real handsome devil right there. Let's get right to the questions here, guys, because we got enough to take us to the top of the hour. We're going to start off with Frankie here, who is asking, Melinda, have you been to Page, Arizona to view the UFOs coming out of the Back Horse Canyons?
No, but that sounds very interesting. Maybe contact me through the Center for the New Age, and if you live in that area, you can take me and show me. I'll bring out some night vision. That sounds very interesting. Yes, I'd like to see if the same thing is being seen.
Paramarv is asking, have you ever had a visit from Men in Black or some other government folks to persuade you to stop your tours or discussing what you see on them? 2,200 tours, a lot of folks you've convinced, Melinda.
Not about my tours. My team members, Jeremiah and Alexandra, out hiking and Tom Dongo previously, but since I've been doing the tours and whatnot and our underground base research for the last 2.5 years, Jeremiah and Alexandra have been stopped in the canyons by guards and asked, we know what you're doing. We're asking you to stop, whatever. So that's happened, but not about my tours. That was about the research in the base. Regarding my tours, nope. I have had nothing. And whatever, maybe I'm useful. Maybe they're monitoring by my talk about and stuff, what's being seen, what's known. I don't know. I have not been stopped. Now, my MILAB research over the 35 years, heck yeah, like life threaten, yes, absolutely. But I don't mind saying it now because he's passed. The late Ed Dames threatened my life twice. No joke.
Who did?
Ed Dames?
Ed Dames, twice.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. Now that he's passed, I can say that, but he certainly did. Oh, no, I wouldn't have said it when he was alive. I would have.
Christian, have you or anybody been had the knock on the door from the Men in Black?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I told you, when Tony and I were out investigating that one place when we saw the Glimmer guy, I still think that was a soldier. We had that happen right after that. I mean, the guy basically called us out. And then we've had stuff broken, we've had our house broken into. Christine and I, when we got that information about Betty and Barney Hill that had been released, we had that on a flash drive. It was at the bottom of our fish tank. 20-gallon aquarium.
Wow.
And when they broke into our house, they killed the cameras, killed everything. But the flash drive was gone. I mean, and nobody knew it was there. You had to have hacked into the system and see where we put it. But yeah, I mean, and then one time when I was doing the Haunted Asheville tour, we actually did get pulled over by a guy in a black SUV, and he asked to talk to me. And thank God everyone that was on the tour thought it was part of the show. But he made a comment to me.
The late researcher Mark McCandlish, who I worked with closely for years, and he did a number of drawings for me, took a bunch of infrared film of marks on the body for me and abductees he was currently investigating,
Mhm.
and other pieces of evidence from abductees that he was investigating at the time. His apartment at the time got broken into, and he had canisters of this film that had to be kept in the refrigerator for that. He had other things in there. The only things taken were the evidence for our cases in the form of films and other evidence and some drawings he did for those cases. Now, some of the drawings were in other places, so he did retain some of them, but drawings and evidence for those abduction cases were taken from his apartment. And Dr. Deborah Trincali, psychotherapist who did a lot of regressions for me and other people and was a full-fledged psychotherapist, PhD, her office got broken into, and only stuff from those, and she saw people in her practice about a lot of different psychological things. Only a small percentage were abductees, but it was probably 100 people. Anyways, stuff from those abductees files were taken from her office, and none of her other client stuff. So clearly, in both those cases, they were going specifically for that evidence for those abductees.
We had 20 folders like this, just, regular basic manila foam on the kitchen table. And I think maybe 3 of them had something to do with Betty and Barney, if that. And it was actually just original photocopies of stuff that had been released, gone. Like they took us, our computers were fried. So yeah, they'll get you.
Yeah, this is common. It's happened in other cases with other abduction researchers and with the abductees and the Millab cases. One Millab case I interviewed extensively over a period of time, kept having stuff wiped from his computer, and they were surgically going in and removing just as evidence for his Millabs.
Yeah. We actually watched that happen one time. We were on a conference call. Christine and I were in Florida. Tiny was up here, and we were on the phone with someone, or we were on the conference call with someone in Vegas, and you actually saw just someone come in. It started accessing everyone's hard drive, and it just started deleting files right there in front of everyone. And it was on everyone's computers. And there was nothing we could do. I mean, while we're talking, you were watching our files just delete.
Yep, that's what this crazy. That's what this guy would see. In fact, I think he even videoed it happening. And this is unfortunately been common in the research in in all things UFO, but the abduction research and the Millab research for sure. This has happened.
Let's go to Mr. Cowley here. Why do you think they implant bits of metal into people? And do you think you will ever meet? Do you think you will ever meet? You will be taken again, or think that you'll be taken again, Melinda?
Yeah. Abductions tend to repeat. It's very common for people to have revisits from in the Millab stuff for sure, and from seemingly the same people. And in abductions, some people say they've had like a group of ETs or a particular ET that has shown up repeatedly in their abduction experience. This is all common in the research. As far as implants, the late surgeon, Dr. Roger Lear, who did 17 surgical removals of alien implants, found that these were often in major nerve meridians in the body, like in polarity areas in the body. He thought rather than it being a tracking device of any kind, it was actually probably more medical telemetry, because these implants, which aren't just metal, in some cases they're metals, and in some cases they're crystalline structures, but they would have these fibers that come off of them, fibers, that would integrate into the nervous system. And he thought it was medical telemetry. They were monitoring the well-being and health of the abductee, that they didn't seem to have a monitoring or control thing to them, and not a tracking thing, but seemed to interface with the body's system to either influence the health and or monitor the health of the person. And that's what he discovered in his research, based upon their location and the way they interacted with the nervous system.
All right, let's continue on here. Let's go to Moody. Do you remember anything to do with the nursery rhymes during the abductee experience?
Nursery rhymes. I had to think about that. Part of me wants to say yes, but I nothing's coming to mind right away. Guess remember anything to do with nursery rhymes? I'd have to think about that. Not off the top of my head.
All right.
But if you know of something, I wouldn't be surprised.
Honest is asking, are black ops considered military, or is this a gray area?
Well, no, the black ops are humans. So, and they, as I said earlier, they could be military, they could be paramilitary, they could be contracting agencies and intelligence agency people. So, so black ops refers to all those, any black operations, dark operations, hidden, secretive, shadow government or breakaway civilization stuff. So, yeah, so there we go. And but are they working with grays and other ET types? Like 4 different ET types keep coming up, and so I would say yes.
All right, let's continue on. Moving on here, as Christian continues to have some technical difficulties on his end.
I'm sorry,
Let's
Christian.
go next to Ashley. Have you ever studied, if you remember around Christmas time a couple of years ago, there was that alleged alien encounter at the Miami shopping mall?
Mm-hmm.
You remember that? Do you think that was ETs, or do you think...
I don't know enough about it. Like that in the Vegas case, I don't know enough about them. They're questionable things, especially the Miami one. I know even less, so no, I don't know.
All right, let's continue on here. Let's go next to T-Bone, because we're in Canada. T-Bone is asking if you have heard of any Canadian geography where there is like a Sedona type area.
Not to my knowledge, but if you know something, contact me through the Center for the New Age. Not that I know of.
I know where there's one.
Okay, good, Dave. We should talk off camera then. Yep.
My area where I live.
All right.
People are always seeing UFOs here,
Okay.
especially over the lakes.
Well, yes, there could be a lot of reasons in areas of UFO hotspot, like volcanoes, lakes, bodies of water, mines, gold mines, copper, silver mines, these kinds of things, versus whether there's a base or not there. But we can talk off camera. You can tell me if you think, we can have
Sure.
a call when you contact me in the next couple of days, because I'd be curious if there's any suggestion of a base in the area.
All right, let's go to Matthew here. What can the president really do? Can he really release above top secret or stuff that years of hidden military intelligence that hasn't been touched? I heard A-bomb stuff won't, like the real good juice will not come out.
Well, he can do an executive order, and he could pretty much say whatever he wants in executive order, and then it can get thrown to the Supreme Court, for if it's questioned, or or if someone has a problem with it.
He can't release anything top secret above. He can't do it. The executive order can be done,
Okay.
but if it's shot down.
Okay, gotcha. So, but he can give like whistleblower protection.
Right.
He can sign executive orders requiring that information get released. He can't actually call for.
Right. He can require
the types of information,
executive orders
but not,
if he wants.
yeah.
But if like the people in charge of the commission or the bureau
Well,
or wherever wherever he's looking to get the info for, saying no, there's nothing they can do.
And corporate entities don't have to respond to anything. And so the problem is this is what Congress members are learning. It got sent out to these corporations, these government contracting companies, and you lose all control of it at that point. And that's they can start changing the laws to make it where that doesn't necessarily have to happen it going forward in the future, but they can't really undo what's already been done.
But they did that on purpose. Corso even said that in his book, The Day After Roswell. They specifically designed it. He was part of the day. They specifically designed it that way. So if anyone was ever a whistleblower, they could be protected by corporation secrets or corporation trade secrets, whatever. There's a specific term for it.
Yeah,
But
that's
you're
right.
exactly right.
And you can do like the RICO cases that go against the financial stuff, and where did the money go? So that's Burchett and Burleson. These people have spoken to this even on the steps of Congress on the 9th. They were talking about this very thing. So they know that this is one of the ways they can pursue this. I mean, there's limitations.
We're still never going to get the truth. I mean, we've been looking into budgets, dark budgets, black budgets since the 80s. You know, and they're saying when a hammer was $2 million and a toilet seat was $50,000, stuff like that, just to cover up where money went. We still don't know where any of that money went.
And a lot of people are starting to say probably the only way we're going to get this is whistleblower protections and more whistleblowers coming forward when protected to be able to do so without going against their security clearances.
Unfortunately, they keep disappearing.
Well, that too. That's another thing. But protections for them to give them the safety net, or at least the feeling of safety that will help some of them come forward. There's many that have testified in the skiffs for Congress that we've not heard from because they're waiting for that to happen before they can come forward. So this, so that's one thing that can happen. And you get enough of them and they provide certain information, and then you have what's called catastrophic disclosure. Of course, the ETs can show up at any time. So all you would need,
that's what's going to take. Well, I understand. That's what's going to take.
or like in the movie, someone getting out records, bring out chips and records and suddenly putting them all online. A lot of people have a problem with the fact they went through the news sorts in the movie, but whatever, but they could be put online, so something will break. And this moving forward may encourage someone, particularly also if there's laws giving them protection. This is hopefully where we're headed.
Do you think that new Spielberg movie is going to get the things going the way they were thinking it was going to go, or
no, I think it's more just commentary on it, artistic commentary on what's going on. I think, I don't know that it will cause any movement other than, and this is a positive thing, whether people's take on it, whether it's negative or positive, and believe me, it's very mixed out there. Okay. The fact that it is a blockbuster summer movie, it is being seen by a lot of people, even though it's controversial, that's being discussed, it's causing awareness to go up. So for that alone, people's awareness, and then the UFO community can ride and step in on that, and New Paradigm Institute and other groups to say this is what you can do to take action and vote accordingly. And we are getting more congressional members stepping up, coming forward. So I think this can snowball. It's just, at what point are we going to have the catastrophic? I don't know. But it is snowballing and increasing momentum. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah, because I haven't even seen it. I don't even really know what it's about. They were just talking about how it's going to help enfranchise the UFO field, and people are going to see it and want.
Dave, did you see it yet?
I have not. No, I haven't seen a new movie in a long time.
Has Dave? Dave, did you see it?
I haven't seen it. It hasn't been released in my town yet.
Okay, I saw it. I have plans this week to actually go see it again. I loved it. I was blown away. I thought it was brilliant. It is very controversial because some people aren't loving it. Everything from finding technical faults to having faults with the storytelling to having faults with the ending. I think the ending is brilliant. I guess I'll just have to wait till you guys see it and you guys say, maybe if there's viewers who can chime in, although we're not getting a chat. Did I understand that, Dave? So we're not able to know. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I don't think it will make a big difference other than cause more awareness. And it's certainly causing heated discussion, but that's just causing awareness. So I see that as a benefit. And some people I went with a group of people, we all loved it. In fact, we even moved to tears. I'm hearing that from other people, but there are people, even people in the community, who really didn't like it. So what I say is don't read any of the reviews. Go see it. To everyone listening, go see it, make up your own mind. But I enjoyed it. It's entertaining, at least. There you go. Spielberg.
I can't wait to see it personally.
Yeah, I think Dave, I think both of you guys, Dave, Chris, I think you're both going to love it. But I also know you got, well, I don't know you, Chris, but I have a sense of, you know, but with Dave, you might be nitpicky about it, but I don't know, I loved it. I loved it. I mean, you know, there in any movie I can find minor flaws in story or detail. Who cares?
Fun and everything. That's.
Are you entertained? Are you entertained?
Yeah.
You know, does it reflect well on the subject? Yes, and abductees are extremely moved by it.
Yeah, like I said, I like every. You know, I grew up a Star Wars kid, so anything like that, I'm going to want to watch. I just haven't seen it yet. I think what I'll do is I'll take the boss out tomorrow.
Don't go into this anybody thinking like action adventure. Yes, the first half of it is, but it's real because it's a chase movie for the first half. But it's really got a much deeper meaning. So go in, see it to the end to see how they conclude with a deeper meaning. I went with other people here in town, and we all loved it. We all loved it. So there you go.
I'll have to check it out now.
Quick question here, is we only got about 90 seconds left. What do you think the percentage of abductions are actual extraterrestrial as opposed to some sort of government abduction?
I'd say 99.9 extraterrestrial. No, because abductions are worldwide. You know, that's where I said, like, Stephen Greer is completely wrong. He says there's no abductions, it's all military. That's ridiculous. The amount of people worldwide having abduction, the amount of evidence for it, the amount of support groups, and come on, it's ridiculous.
I was going to say about 50-50, but
no. Significantly aliens. It's worldwide phenomena.
The powers of
there's abduction research organizations with 10,000 cases in their file. You know,
I mean, I've got files that you haven't seen on Betty and Barney Hill. And if I was to show you those, you'd probably be like, oh my God, you're kidding me.
But, well, they're also a Millab case, by the way, because I've talked to Kathleen Martin about that very thing.
I totally agree with you, but I also wonder if this isn't, also a red herring for the government not to do what they want to do. You know, I can see them.
Well,
I think that they're going to do something or experiment on humans or get biological information on people. I just don't believe it.
Chris, I hear you, and I've over 35 years of research in this. I've considered all these things. What I've come up with the 35 years of research and talking to other major abduction researchers is that they're spending the money in the large sums of what would be millions of dollars at the very least to study the abductees because of what they think we can provide to them information-wise.
Well, that makes sense, though, because,
guys, I got to wrap it up.
Okay.
Because we
need a part 2 on this
through the 3 hours tonight. Chris McLeod, thank you. Melinda Leslie, thank you for going the distance as we say hello to Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal, rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAP, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on X. Remember, this show is copyrighted by Spaced Out Radio at Bigfoot Broadcasting Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo Train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night, everybody. All right. We only got about a couple minutes here before I have to get off the air and go back on the air.
Hey,
Yes.
Anytime you want to do something, I love it. It was great. Good job.
Thank you. Yeah, Chris, I enjoyed that too. Nice to meet you. And Dave, I thank you for having me. I had a great time.
Melinda, I love you, my dear. You're the best.
Hopefully that was a good show and people will dig it. It seemed like
I think
they
everyone's
did.
going to like it. Hey, Dave, I'll listen to you on WABC. God bless you guys. Take care. Thank you.
All right. Take care, guys.
How do I find you on WABC, Dave?
Just go to WABC
Go on
Radio.
to Red Apple Audio Networks.
Red Apple Audio Networks. Okay, I'll check it out. All right. Goodbye, my friend.
All right. Boom. There we go. All right. Such good people. We get good people around here. Just like you guys listening in. Tomorrow night on the show, Merle. Let's practice right now. Merle. We practice? Merle. Thank you to Maggie, T-Bone with a hat trick, Anthony with a hat trick, Shogun and Ken and Mark. We appreciate it. And guys, I got to take this call from New York. We're going to sign off on our YouTube side, and we'll see you all tomorrow night with Merle. Make sure to practice. See you tomorrow.
Stay healthy, my friend.
You too.
You need bail money, give me a call.
Always, Dad. Take care.
You too.